Chapter 2582. All right, I'll definitely create a chance for you. Yu Panhu waved his hand weakly and picked up his phone from the floor. He dialed Lin Yi's number. Luckily, he remembered Lin Yi's number, or he would have erased his contact book. The only good thing was that the SIM card was still there. Lin Yi had just finished dinner with the girls when he returned to the villa. He was cooking medicine for Wang Xinyan when his phone rang. It was Yu Panhu's number. He picked it up. Yu Panhu, what's up? That Lin Yi classmate, do you want to have fun? Yu Panhu wasn't stupid. He wouldn't say that he lost the information and wanted to get another copy. There was an 80% chance that Lin Yi wouldn't give it to him. He changed his method. Are you crazy? I'm busy. Do you have something to say? If not, I'm hanging up. Lin Yi said, confused. Don't. Wait. Yu Panhu quickly said, Lin Yi, don't hang up yet. I have something to say. Just say it, Lin Yi said. It's like this, Lin Yi, do you want to beat Zhao Qibing up? I heard that you and Zhao Qibing have conflict. I can give you a chance. Yu Panhu tempted. No, I'm hanging up if there's nothing else. Lin Yi hung up. F***CK. This didn't make sense. Yu Panhu looked at the phone in his hand. He hesitated and dialed again. Lin Yi, don't hang up yet. Listen to me first. Oh, go ahead. Lin Yi continued cooking medicine for Wang Xinyan. It's not a waste of my phone bill. You can beat Zhao Qibing up. For example, break his legs. I promise he won't fight back. You don't have to pay anything. You just have to send me the information you gave me before. How's that? Isn't that great? Right Coiling Tiger originally wanted to extort something from Lin Yi, but seeing that Lin Yi wasn't interested, he could only lower his demands. He only wanted information. Break his legs? Lin Yi was slightly taken aback, but then he smiled and said, You don't even want to give me money and you want me to give you something? Are you dreaming? If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. Bye. Right Coiling Tiger frowned. He felt strange. Logically speaking, it was fun to let Lin Yi break Zhao Qibing's legs. If Lin Yi asked him to beat him up for free, he would do it without hesitation, even if he had to spend money. But Lin Yi rejected it, and he said he wouldn't call even if I paid him. Yu Coiling Tiger felt that things were not as simple as he had imagined. His idea of exchanging for information was no longer feasible. Left with no choice, Yu Panhu dialed Lin Yi's number again. Right Coiling Tiger, are you done yet? If you have more money, then top up my phone bill. Lin Yi said impatiently. Sure, I have more money. How much will I top up? As long as you send me another copy of the previous information, I'll top up for you. Right Coiling Tiger said. Top up 1 million and I'll give you the information. Lin Yi hung up immediately. 1 million? Right Coiling Tiger clicked his tongue. That was quite a lot. However, this amount of money was really nothing to the second young master of Househu. It was just that this money was a bit of a scam. He lost his phone and he lost 1 million. How could he be so unlucky? However, he still had to top up. Right Coiling Tiger wasn't afraid of Lin Yi making conditions. He was afraid that Lin Yi wouldn't make any conditions. As long as he made a condition, Right Coiling Tiger would try his best to satisfy it. He directly asked the yellow hair to top up 1 million for Lin Yi's phone number. Lin Yi was brewing medicine when his cell phone's text message prompt sounded. Lin Yi thought that Right Coiling Tiger didn't call and started to use his cell phone to harass him. However, when he opened his cell phone, he was stunned. The text message said, Dear user, the payment is successful. The amount paid this time is 1 million. What? He paid 1 million in phone bill? Lin Yi's eyes widened as he looked at the number on the cell phone. Could it be that the system sent the wrong number? Just as he was wondering, Right Coiling Tiger's call came in again. Right Coiling Tiger, what else do you want? Asked Lin Yi helplessly. Lin Yi, I topped up 1 million for your phone bill. You have to keep your word. You should send me the information, right? Asked Right Coiling Tiger. Did you pay the phone bill for me? Lin Yi broke into a sweat. He was just joking perfunctorily with Right Coiling Tiger. He didn't expect the kid to take it seriously. "I'm just joking with you." "I'm not joking. Quickly send me the information. If you don't give it to me, I'll keep the evidence of the payment. When the time comes, I'll tell boss that you cheated a classmate." Right Coiling Tiger said anxiously. "All right. Is the information from before right? I'll get Jing Jing to send you another copy." However, Lin Yi was a little puzzled. Right Coiling Tiger already had a copy. Why did he spend 1 million to buy another? Did this person have too much money and nowhere to spend it? Hence, he said, "Where's the information from before?" "The information from before. I deleted it by mistake." Right Coiling Tiger was embarrassed to say that he had been robbed, so he could only say that he had deleted it by mistake. Oh, Lin Yi didn't ask further. He thought that this Right Coiling Tiger was really despicable. 1 million was gone just like that. After hanging up the phone, Lin Yi called Han Jingjing to send another copy to Right Coiling Tiger. After receiving the email, Right Coiling Tiger finally let out a sigh of relief. The road to happiness was strewn with setbacks. Right Coiling Tiger unlocked his phone and was about to receive the email when his face suddenly changed. He cursed. "What the heck? It's an email. It's not a text." Right Coiling Tiger realized that in the cloud mailbox, there was still the email from Han Jingjing. He stumbled and almost fell to the ground. Why didn't he think of this before? His IQ was really low. 1 million was gone just like that. The worst part was that he had agreed to Zhao Qibing's ridiculous request to get Lin Yi to break his leg. Right Coiling Tiger still didn't know how this request could be fulfilled. If he begged Lin Yi, he might not have to give Lin Yi anything good. That guy was like a vampire. He wouldn't release the eagle until he saw the rabbit. But who asked him to ask for his help? Right Coiling Tiger sighed. He got into the car and headed towards the hidden new house with the yellow-haired and purple-haired men. Originally, he wanted to go home and ask his grandpa for this 1 million, but now he didn't dare to mention it. It was too stupid. Right Coiling Tiger could only grit his teeth and bear it with his pocket money. Chapter 2583. Yu Coiling Tiger finally breathed a sigh of relief. Old Master Yu waved his hand and gave Yu Coiling Tiger a bonus of 20 million yuan. This made Yu Coiling Tiger very happy. It was equivalent to earning 19 million yuan without any losses. Lin Yi didn't know what Pan Hu Right was thinking, charging him 1 million for no reason at all, just so he could get the information again. Was there something wrong with him? Xinyan, on the other hand, fell into a deep sleep after drinking the soup Lin Yi brewed. Lin Yi, on the other hand, held her in his arms and started practicing. At this rate, reaching the second stage of the art of dragon mastery was only a matter of time. Lin Yi was very much looking forward to the third time the stone door would open. Who knew what good stuff would be in there? What kind of unexpected benefits would the third stage of the art of dragon mastery bring him? The second stage had already benefited Lin Yi a lot. Compared to the first stage of the art of dragon mastery, not only did it speed up the healing process and increase the strength of others, but more importantly, it allowed him to practice an all-purpose technique. This all-purpose technique had basically become Lin Yi's life-saving trump card. It was even easier to use than chi bombs. Chi bombs were too dangerous, and it was a move that killed 1,000 enemies while sacrificing 800. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Lin Yi wouldn't use it. But a combo skill was different. The 7th form, Fire 8 Trigrams Palm, used up most of Lin Yi's energy, but it was better than getting hurt. As for breaking through to the late stage of Earth class, Lin Yi hadn't found the right opportunity yet. He felt like he was missing something. Maybe he'd leveled up too fast recently and he'd finally reached a bottleneck. In actuality, Lin Yi really wanted to have a battle of life and death. Most of the time, a breakthrough could only be found in battle. Lin Yi found most of his opportunities in battle, and he rarely broke through naturally. However, fighting was something that could only be discovered by luck. For example, strategist Juga was an early phase sky class master. If Lin Yi didn't kill him in one move and fight him slowly, Lin Yi would definitely lose in the end. Lin Yi only had the 7th form of Fire 8 trigrams palm to rely on. If Juga managed to dodge or defend, then it'd be Lin Yi's nightmare. And if Lin Yi didn't use the 7th form of Fire 8 trigrams palm, he wouldn't be Juga's opponent. So, Lin Yi could only choose to kill Juga quickly instead of looking for an opportunity to level up. That was purely looking for trouble. The night passed peacefully, and Lin Yi received a call from the phone bro the next morning. Lin Yi wasn't too surprised. It was all within his expectations. He only told the phone bro to try to build a good relationship with the people in the headquarters. It would be best if he could find out the location of the base, but if he couldn't, he had to climb up to the headquarters as soon as possible and take charge of more things. He'd be able to get in touch with some of the secrets of the base. Originally, after this call, Lin Yi thought he could go to school in peace, but he didn't expect to see Zhu Laoda at the entrance of the villa. Mr. Lin. Zhu Laoda walked over carefully and said respectfully, Zhu Laoda, why are you here? Why aren't you by Qin Shi's side? Why are you here? Lin Yi was a bit confused. Ahem. It's like this. Master Bing asked me to come back to do something, so I came to visit my brother. Zhu Laoda hesitated and looked at Lin Yi. Mr. Lin, you see the thing you said before. Before? Lin Yi was slightly stunned. It's about treating my brother. Zhu Laoda was shocked. He thought that Lin Yi wouldn't deny it, right? Oh, you're talking about that. Lin Yi suddenly understood. If you have something to say, just say it. Why are you talking in riddles? You said that I can treat Zhu Lao Er's injury at any time, but there's a problem. How are you going to tell the hidden Zhao family after I treat him? Zhu Lao Da's face changed. Yeah, if Zhu Lao Er's injury suddenly healed, then what would he say? One had to know that the second Zhu brother's injuries weren't lighter than Elder Bai's, and the only person in the world who could heal him was Lin Yi. Then there was the Sky Elixir Sect's 3rd level Great Recovery Pill. But with the Hidden House Zhao strength, it wasn't something they could get their hands on, let alone boss Zhu. If Zhu Lao Er's injury suddenly healed, then the hidden Zhao family wouldn't be suspicious. If they asked, Zhu Lao really wouldn't know what to say. So, I can treat him, but you have to think of a perfect excuse. If you say I treated him, then your identity will be exposed, Lin Yi said. I was too impatient. I didn't think of this. Zhu Laoda smiled bitterly. Then I'll bring my brother back and wait for a suitable excuse. Oh, you brought Zhu Lao Er here? Lin Yi paused. Yeah, he's in the car outside, Zhu Laoda said. I see. Lin Yi didn't want him to go back, now that Zhu Lao Er was here. He was in a dilemma when Yushu spoke up. Shield bro, that's easy. Shu has a good idea. Yushu heard the conversation between Lin Yi and Zhu Laoda. She didn't know why Zhu Laoda turned traitor, but as long as he was Lin Yi's follower now, Yushu should help him out. Oh, Miss Qin, what idea do you have? If it really works, then you'll be my brother's savior. Zhu Laoda said eagerly as he looked at Yushu. What, miss? That sounds bad. Call me the universe's super invincible cute genius prophecy secret detective spy Shu 007. Yushu said. All right then. Universe's super invincible cute genius prophecy secret detective spy Shu 007. What idea do you have? Zhu Laoda was speechless as he repeated the long name. He really would have forgotten it if he didn't have a good memory. What the fuck? Zhu Laoda wiped the cold sweat off his forehead after repeating the name. Ha ha ha. Tell Shield Bro to treat your brother's injury first. But don't tell anyone when we get back. Keep acting like he's injured. Yushu said. That's easy. As long as he doesn't use his practitioner's arts, no one can tell how strong he is. But you can't hide it forever, can you? Zhu Laoda asked curiously. Chapter 2584. What a trap! Both Lin Yi and Boss Zhu's mouths twitched. Yushu's move was too much of a scam. Scamming people to death. Whoever bumped into her would be unlucky. Isn't that a bit too much? Boss Zhu asked after a while. Haven't you heard of the saying? You're already a traitor, so why do you care? Yushu said as she looked at Boss Zhu in disdain. You're right. Boss Zhu nodded after some hesitation. All right, it's decided then. But Yao Wang won't suspect anything, right? Who the hell is Yao Wang? How can he be as good as Shield Bro? He can't even deal with a bunch of lightning rods. He's just too weak compared to Shield Bro. I think he should change his name to Lightning Rod King. Yushu said. That's good. Boss Zhu nodded. And so Meng Yao, Yushu, Xinyan, Han Jingjing, and Han Xiaoqiao went to school first, while Linny stayed at home to treat Zhu second. When Zhu's second got off the car, Lin Yi glanced at him, shocked. Once upon a time, he'd seen Zhu's second in high spirits, but now he looked like an old man with one foot in the grave, even older than Boss Zhu. It was evident that he hadn't been having a good time recently, but it was unavoidable. He used to be a practitioner, and his position in the hidden house was high. But now he was just a normal cripple, and it was already good enough that the hidden house gave him a place to live. This was also for Boss Zhu's sake, but it was impossible for them to respect him and care for him like they usually did. Even Zhao Qibing, who said that he would treat Zhu second, stopped trying to recruit him after he became the heir. He didn't even look at him, and it had been a long time since he contacted Boss Zhu. After all, the eldest Zhu's job was to keep an eye on Qin Shi, and he couldn't stay by Qibing's side all day. The second Zhu, on the other hand, was a cripple, and Qibing didn't have the time to take care of him. It could be said that the Zhu brothers had been forgotten for a long time. This was why old Zhu's second was so angry. His injury was all because of Zhao Qibing, and Zhao Qibing wanted to help him find a way to recover. He was very touched and dragged Boss Zhu to join Zhao Qibing. But ever since Zhao Qibing officially joined the hidden house and his identity changed, he didn't care about the second Zhu anymore. He didn't mention anything about healing the second Zhu anymore, instead saying that he wanted to heal Elder Bai. How could Zhu Laoer not be angry? Old Zhu's second understood that Zhao Qibing was just a hypocrite trying to recruit the two brothers to fight against Zhao Qikuan. Now that Zhao Qibing was done for, he was about to die in the sky elixir sex test. Zhao Qibing didn't care at all. He didn't need to recruit anyone, and the second Zhu was selectively forgotten. This was also the reason why Boss Zhu chose to rely on Lin Yi. The two of them were very loyal to Zhao Qibing, but what did they get in return? Nothing compared to an enemy who cared about them. They knew that Lin Yi was probably using them, but Lin Yi was using them openly and clearly. It was like a business deal, and so the second Zhu was leaning towards Lin Yi. But after seeing the enemy who was grinding his teeth, old Zhu's second felt very awkward. He didn't dare raise his head to look at Lin Yi. Old Zhu, what are you doing? Greet Mr. Lin. Boss Zhu frowned and secretly kicked old Zhu's second. Greet Mr. Lin. Old Zhu didn't have a choice. He had no choice but to raise his head. I've offended you in the past. I hope Mr. Lin doesn't take it to heart. Old Zhu, what are you talking about? Boss Zhu was disappointed. Why did he have to say all this? The fact that Lin Yi had asked him to heal meant that he didn't care about what had happened in the past, but Lin Yi was still nagging. That's right, we used to work for different masters. You guys were Zhao Qibing's men, working for him, so we were enemies. But now, your brother is my man, and if you work for me in the future, we'll be on the same side. Lin Yi nodded. Since we're on the same side, I can promise that no matter how serious your injuries are, as long as you're still breathing, I'll do my best to heal you. As for your future training, just leave it to me. Boss Zhu and I are only Earth-class experts at the moment, so I can't help him. I can only help him after I advance to Sky class, but I can help you advance to the early stage of Earth class. Mr. Lin, you're such a good person. I, old Jew second, don't know how to talk, but I know that you're not lying. You're a man of your words. I also know that you're just using us. But we'll prove to you that we're not any weaker than your underlings. Old Jew second said sincerely. And, Lin, he waved his hand. Let's not talk about this. Let's go heal first. In actuality, Lin Yi's promise to the Zhu brothers was nothing to him, but he said it in such a serious manner, using this kind of manipulative method. It was a smart move on Lin Yi's part. If he did it like how Zhao Qibing did, then the Zhu brothers wouldn't believe him. But when Lin Yi said the benefits in detail, the Zhu brothers couldn't help but be tempted. The conditions were too good, and even though they knew that Lin Yi was using them, they couldn't reject it. Lin Yi's way of playing hard to get made them want to become Lin Yi's underlings even more. From their point of view, there were so many benefits just from being used. If they became Lin Yi's underling, wouldn't there be even more benefits? Look at Wu Qintian, Han Xiaopa, and the others. Even now, old Zhao didn't dare kill Qikuan. He didn't have the heart to do it before, but now that Elder Bai had fallen, he wanted to get rid of Qikuan as soon as possible. Qikuan was Lin Yi's underling, and dying in the Sky Elixir sex test had nothing to do with the Hidden House Zhao. But if he died in old Zhao's hands, then he'd be in big trouble. Chapter 2585. A Magical Potion. Old Master, I have something important to report. Boss Zhu said carefully. What is it? Say it. Old man Zhao's face softened and waved his hand, signaling Boss Zhu to continue. It's like this. Didn't my second brother's meridians get damaged too? When I was in Songshan City, I asked around about how to heal meridians, and when I was scavenging, I met a heaven-class master. Boss Zhu said. What? Heaven-class master? Old man Zhao didn't care at first, but when he heard Boss Zhu say heaven-class master, he stood up. Are you kidding me? How can there be so many heaven-class masters? How could I just meet one when I was scavenging? Old master, how can I joke about this? Boss Zhu smiled bitterly. I can't see through the heaven-class master's strength, but it should be at the peak of the late stage of heaven-class. Fuck! How is that possible? Old man Zhao couldn't help but curse. Those are existences on the level of sect masters and elders in the ancient times. How can they casually enter and exit the secular world? Even if they came to do something, you wouldn't meet them, right? Boss Zhu, you're just trying to have fun with me, right? Old master, I wouldn't dare. That old man seems to have some mental problems. Although he's strong, he's very silly, like an old madman. Boss Zhu said, from what I see, he must have gone mad from his cultivation. Ugh. After old master Zhao heard it, he nodded. If it was a madman, then it was possible. Moreover, it made sense to meet him when he was scavenging. Is this the big thing you want to talk about? Even if it's a heaven-class master, it has nothing to do with our hidden Zhao family, right? And he's a madman. It's hard to recruit this kind of person. Patriarch, I'm not talking about that. I was asking that crazy heaven-rank old man about my younger brother's injuries. He gave me a potion called the Filter of Barrier Breaking. As the name implies, it can be used to break through barriers. After taking it, not only can it heal the internal injuries, but it can also allow one to break through the barrier and become a higher-level expert. Boss Zhu said with a solemn expression. Really? Old man Zhao's eyes widened. This was the first time he had heard of such a potion, but since it was concocted by a heaven stage expert, it shouldn't be fake. It was just that the heaven stage expert was an old madman. Would there be a problem? He's telling the truth. I don't know if it's true or not, but I remember that Elder Bai is like my brother with damaged meridians, so I asked him to make 2 portions. Boss Zhu said carefully. A heaven stage expert is so obedient? Old Master Zhao looked at Boss Zhu suspiciously. Boss Zhu, why did you ask him to do it? This. Actually, I didn't think that he was a heaven stage expert. Seeing that he was wearing tattered clothes and was starving to death on the ground, I thought that he was a tramp. Seeing that we are both scavengers, I bought him a few steamed buns. In the end, he was extremely grateful to me after eating them. If he wants to repay me, he can help me do something. Boss Zhu continued according to Yushu's story. At the time I was thinking, what can a tramp like you help me with? But after he ate, he suddenly revealed his heaven stage strength and scared me. So I told him what was bothering me, and he agreed without hesitation. You know that he has mental problems, so he's probably easier to talk to. This morning, I just got back to Songshan, and that old crazy tramp gave me the potion. So I came back as soon as I could. So that's how it is. Old Master Zhao nodded. Boss Zhu's words made him put down his doubts. Boss Zhu's identity was a scavenger, so he had to act like a scavenger as much as possible. It was reasonable for him to occasionally help his peers who were about to die. What about the senior? He finished the concoction, told me how to use it and what to pay attention to, and left. Old Master, you know that he's a sky rank master. I'm just an earth rank master. How could I force him to stay? Boss Zhu said helplessly. That's true. Old Zhao said, it'd be weird if Boss Zhu had brought a sky class back. He thought about it. Then what about the potion? What did that elder tell you? This potion looks good, but it has a fatal flaw. Boss Zhu said, if the person who uses it doesn't succeed, they'll explode and bleed from all 7 orifices. If they succeed, then everything's fine. What? There's a chance of success? Old Zhao was thinking that Elder Bai's recovery was a blessing for House Zhao. But before he could celebrate, Boss Zhu threw a bucket of cold water at him, calming him down quite a bit. His eyes sharpened as he looked at Boss Zhu. How come I've never heard of this potion before? How can someone die if they don't have any effect? Yeah, I'm curious too. Boss Zhu wasn't scared at all. That's why I didn't just give it to my brother and came to you first. I'm confused as well. Why is this potion so strange? And you did well. Old Zhao nodded. Where's the potion? Here. Boss Zhu carefully took out 2 packets of potion and put them on the table. Elder Mian, go find the Medicine King. Old man Zhao ordered outside the door. Yes. Elder Mian responded and quickly went to find Yao Wang. Not long after, he and Zhao Yaowang entered Grandfather Zhao's room. Greetings, old master. Yao Wang didn't know why old Zhao called him here, so he asked carefully, you were looking for me? Yao Wang, look at what this potion is. Old Zhao pointed at the 2 packets and explained, I heard that this potion is called the filter of barrier breaking. As he spoke, old Master Zhao explained the effects and side effects of the medicine once more. After Zhao Yaowang heard this, his expression became very interesting. This was the first time he had heard of such a thing. This thing wasn't a pill, it was just a potion. However, it had such a miraculous effect. He had never heard of such a thing before. But this was something made by a heaven-ranked expert. He didn't dare to look down on it. He carefully took a clean bowl and opened the packet of potion. He poured out the contents and carefully examined it. Chapter 2586. Its effective Yaowang wanted to increase his strength and break through the armband, but this potion was too mysterious. There was a chance of death, and so he'd rather not try it. His meridians weren't severed, and it wasn't worth the risk. Elder Zhao naturally knew what Yaowang was thinking. He couldn't tell what the potion was, so he hesitated. After a while, his eyes brightened, and he turned to Zhu Boss. Zhu Boss, you asked for this potion to help your brother recover, right? Elder Zhao asked. Yes, Zhu Boss answered honestly. All right, if that's the case, then let him use it. Old Zhao's face didn't change. Normally, such an important potion should be given to the family, one for Elder Bai and the other for safekeeping. But since you're the one who found it, I can't disappoint my men, so I'll give you one back. Give it to him as soon as possible. Aye. Zhu Boss's face changed, turning red. He had expected this, and everything was going according to Yushu's plan. But hearing Elder Zhao say this shamelessly, Zhu Boss was still furious. The two brothers had been working for the hidden Zhao family all these years. Even if they didn't have any merits, they had still worked hard. However, not only did old Master Zhao let the second brother Zhu test the medicine, he also shamelessly said that the two medicines would belong to the family, and he even gave one to the eldest brother Zhu. Could it be that if the potion didn't have side effects, Elder Zhao wouldn't even give him one? With that thought, Zhu Boss felt sorrowful. It seemed like joining Lin he was too smart. Serving these two Zhaos wouldn't end well. Even a dog should have dignity. What, Zhu Boss? You don't want to? If you don't want to, I'll just find a random disciple of House Zhao and let him use it. But then, Zhu Boss won't get a share. Elder Zhao saw that Zhu Boss wasn't willing, so he threatened. It wasn't that he didn't want to find a disciple to try, but there were only 2 potions, and after trying one, who would he give the other one to? Should he give it to Elder Zhu or Elder Bai? Logically speaking, it should be given to the second Zhu, since he was the one who asked for it, and he didn't keep it for himself. He reported it to the family first, but for the family's benefit, Elder Bai breaking through was more beneficial. And so old Zhao had no choice but to let the second Zhu be the test subject. Yushu had already set up their psychology, and everything was going according to plan. I am willing. Boss Zhu took a deep breath and nodded. Originally, I asked for this potion for my second brother so that he could recover his meridians. Since he is already like this, it's better to let him have a try with the mentality of success or death instead of wasting his time like this. Well, it's good that you think that way. Old man Zhao nodded in satisfaction and said, Boss Zhu, why don't you invite your brother over? Okay, I'll bring him over now. Boss Zhu nodded and said quickly, Elder Mian, bring Elder Bai here too. Old Zhao turned to Elder Mian. Yes, head. Elder Mian quickly nodded, but he felt a little sour inside. These days, because of Elder Bai's injury, he had replaced Elder Bai's position in the family, becoming one of the closest people to old Zhao. If Elder Bai came back, what would he do? He didn't want to lose the position that he had worked so hard to get. But he couldn't go against old Zhao's wishes. He could only invite Elder Bai over. But as soon as he left, he thought it through. Yes, Elder Bai had recovered, but he would also break through to Sky Class. At that time, would Sky Class still be able to serve old Zhao like before? Clearly it was impossible. Since he had reached Heaven Stage, he would definitely want to continue cultivating. Even old man Zhao would not let him do these menial chores. When the time came, these matters would still fall onto old Mian's shoulders. Thinking about this, Elder Mian was happy. Soon, the second Zhu and Elder Bai came. Both of them came in wheelchairs. Although the second Zhu could walk, he didn't want to. Everyone understood that going from a practitioner to a cripple, anyone would be depressed. Elder Bai was even more so. Although he had woken up, his eyes were sunken. He looked like someone who hadn't rested for many days. His face was yellow and skinny, and he didn't have any energy. But when he heard that there was medicine that could help him recover, his eyes shone with a strange light. Although second brother Zhu was a little happy, he knew that he was a tester, so his eyes still flashed with nervousness and worry from time to time. These subtle expressions were also noticed by Grandpa Zhao. Although he didn't suspect anything, he felt more relieved after seeing these subtle expressions. Second brother Zhu, the medicine is here. This is the medicine your brother painstakingly obtained. I hope you won't waste it. As grandfather Zhao spoke, he had Elder Mian pass one of the bowls of medicine to second brother Zhu. Second brother Zhu took a deep breath and took the bowl with a determined look in his eyes. Then he raised the bowl and drank all the potion in one gulp. Aghai! The second Zhu's hand suddenly shook, and the bowl fell to the ground, shattering. His face turned red, although he was prepared for this, and knew that the medicine he drank would be fine. The pain still made him take a deep breath. The second Zhu's pained expression fell into everyone's eyes. Everyone had different expressions. The eldest Zhu was very worried, but old Zhao, Yao Wang, Elder Mian, and Elder Bai were looking forward to it. The second Jew was in pain, but they knew that repairing his meridians would be painful, and breaking through the barrier would be difficult. This was normal. As long as he didn't die and could hold on, then it was half a success. Soon, white steam came out of the second Jew's head, and his face became twisted. He panted heavily, and the huff, huff, huff didn't stop. It was as painful as one could imagine. Chapter 2587. Chapter 2597. Elder Bai's tragedy. Actually, old Jew's second was very spirited. His injuries were just an act, but the pain wasn't fake. Lin Yi was right. This poison really did make people want to die. Although he had taken the antidote, the pain didn't lessen at all. It was just that the antidote won against the poison in the end. Ah, dash! Old Zhu's second screamed again, filled with the joy of breaking through the barrier. He then revealed his Earth-class early phase strength. I'm healed, and I broke through. Healed? And broke through? Apart from old Zhu. Everyone else's eyes were wide open. They didn't think that the medicine was real. It really fixed old Zhu's meridians and helped him break through from mystic to Earth class. Good medicine, really good medicine. Elder Bai said shakily, I want to use it too. Wait. Old Zhu suddenly spoke. Oh. Elder Zhao was just about to let Elder Mian give the other bowl to Elder Bai, but he heard Elder Zhu stop him. He turned around unhappily and frowned. What do you want now, Elder Zhu? Old head, you saw it for yourself. Second brother has recovered and broken through the barrier. But how painful is that? His wounds aren't as bad as Elder Bai's, but he's still in so much pain. I'm afraid that Elder Bai won't be able to take it. Old Zhu said seriously. Plus, who knows if there will be any side effects? Shouldn't we observe it first? Old Zhao wasn't too happy. Old Zhu, are you not willing to give it to Elder Bai after seeing how good it is? Do you want to keep it for yourself? I'm telling you, you can't do that. You didn't know the effects before, and you came to me to ask Yao Wang for help. When I let old Zhu use it, you weren't too willing. But now that it's good, you want to keep it for yourself. I really didn't mean that. Old Zhu smiled bitterly and shook his head. All right, no need. Let's ask for Elder Bai's opinion. Old Zhao waved his hand impatiently. Elder Bai, what do you mean? I want to take it now. Old Patriarch, you also know that my current condition is worse than death. If I can return to serving the family one day earlier, I naturally don't want to delay it. Elder Bai said, plus I used to be stronger than the second Jew. If he can make it, there's no reason I can't. Okay, but how about this, Yao Wang? Go and check second brother Zhu to see if there are any problems in his body. Will there be any sequelae? Old Master Zhao was more comprehensive, so he turned his head and looked at Yao Wang. Yes, Patriarch. Yao Wang wasn't as good as Lin Yi, but he could still check second brother's body. If there were any problems, he would be fine, but he wouldn't be able to heal him. So, Yao Wang said confidently, there's no way you can escape my eyes. After that, he began to give second brother Zhu a comprehensive examination. However, his examination was too late. If he didn't do the examination earlier, he might find that second brother Zhu's injury had actually healed a long time ago. But if he did the examination now, there would be a problem if the injury wasn't healed. Plus, the poison was gone, and the antidote was gone. His strength had increased, so what could he find? As expected, after a while, Yao Wang said happily, Old Patriarch, second brother Zhu's body is normal. There's nothing strange. He's full of energy, and his meridians are fine. There's no sequelae. Oh, that's good. Old Zhao nodded. If that's the case, then give Elder Bai the other filter of barrier breaking. Yes. Elder Mian quickly picked up the other bowl and gave it to Elder Bai. Elder Bai didn't hesitate to raise his head and drink it all in one gulp. Ugh. Elder Bai's reaction was the same as the second Zhu after drinking the medicine. His hand shook and the bowl fell to the ground. His face turned purple and he took in a deep breath. Because of what happened to the second Zhu, Elder Bai's pained expression became normal in everyone's eyes. so they didn't worry too much. But only the oldest Jew and the second Jew knew that Elder Bai's situation was the same as the second Jew's at the beginning, but the result was different. Elder Bai didn't take the antidote, so the only result was death. Ah! Elder Bai screamed, and his face became even paler. But no one cared, because this was the same as second brother Zhu's. It wasn't a big deal. Around an hour later, just as everyone was waiting to see Elder Bai's meridians heal and step into heaven realm, Elder Bai suddenly screamed even louder. Pum! And then there was a loud sound, and blood poured out of Elder Bai's orifices. His legs went limp, and he fell to the ground, as if he couldn't take it any more. This, other than the eldest Jew and second brother Zhu. Everyone else was dumbfounded. What was going on? Why did Elder Bai suddenly die? What's going on? Old Zhao was the first to recover from his shock. His voice was filled with anger. Eldest Jew, what's going on? How did Elder Bai die? I don't know. The eldest Jew was panicking as well. He was sweating. Head, I don't know what's going on either. One had to admit that the eldest Jew's acting was quite good. He was acting like he didn't know and was scared, but it was understandable. He had been acting in front of Chen Shi and her daughter all these years. If his acting wasn't good, wouldn't he have been exposed a long time ago? Although he couldn't fool Lin Yi, that was because Lin Yi had a golden finger. He could see the eldest Zhu's true strength. But old Zhao didn't suspect the eldest Jew anymore. If there really was a problem with the eldest Jew, he wouldn't be this scared. He knew he was going to poison Elder Bai, so why would he be scared? At this time, Zhao Yaowang had already started checking Elder Bai's condition. He frowned and carefully examined the body. Zhao Yaowang was actually a very capable person. Although he lost to Lin Yi time and time again, he was still quite famous in the hidden houses. Otherwise, when Jihai was injured, Elder Bai wouldn't have put so much hope in him. Chapter 2588. Xihua's departure wasn't to the point where he lost his composure, but it was still quite saddening. Elder Bai had been with him for decades, and now he was dead. How could he accept that? Even if he was injured before, Elder Zhao thought that there was still hope. The great recovery pill was out of his reach, but it wasn't impossible. But now that he was dead, there was no way he could come back to life. Reporting to the head, from the looks of it, Elder Bai failed his breakthrough, causing his blood to flow backwards and explode. This is something that happens when a practitioner tries to force their breakthrough. Yao Wang was an expert in medicine, and he knew quite a bit about practitioners. Elder Bai's death wasn't rare either. When a practitioner tried to break through, there would always be a certain amount of danger. But some people were just a sliver away from breaking through, and the danger was lower. At most, they would fail, but they wouldn't die. Forcing a breakthrough was when a practitioner reached a certain age and knew that they didn't have long to live. If they didn't break through to the next level, they'd die for sure, and so they'd choose to force it. In other words, this person still had a long way to go, but because they didn't have much time left, they'd use some sort of secret technique to force themselves to break through. This was life or death isolation, and if they didn't break through, they'd die. Yao Wang knew about the signs of death after that. Failed to break through? Although Grandpa Zhao hadn't seen it before, he had heard of it. Hearing Yao Wang's conclusion, his face softened a lot. Recalling what Zhu Laoda had told him before, he turned to look at Zhu Laoda. Zhu Laoda, is this filter of barrier breaking the legendary liquid used to forcefully break through? I don't know. Zhu Lao's face was pale. The Sky Class only told me that I either recover and break through or I die. Then it has to be. Elder Zhao nodded. Now that he thought about it, it really was similar to a life or death isolation. He just didn't think about it at the time. It's fine, it's not your fault. You don't know either. Thank you for understanding, Head. Zhu Lao let out a breath of relief. From the looks of it, the second Zhu is holding on, but Elder Bai isn't. Ah, the world is unpredictable. Old man Zhao said, but it's still a cause for celebration. Our hidden Zhao family now has another Earth class early phase master. It's a good thing. Thank you for your trust, Master. We brothers will do our best to serve the family. Eldest Zhu and second Zhu quickly said. However, Boss Zhu's heart was filled with disdain. He sneered, "Serve my ass. We'll serve Boss Lin Yi from now on. This matter is our hidden Zhao family's absolute secret. I don't think the heaven stage expert would want us to talk about it." Elder Zhao sighed. Elder Mian, give Elder by a proper burial. He's the hero of our hidden house, Zhao. As for second brother Zhu, since you're healed, you should stay by Zhao Qibing's side. Eldest brother Zhu, you should go back to Songshan and take care of Qinshi. Yes. Everyone agreed, and eldest Zhu and second Zhu let out a sigh of relief. It seemed that Yushu's idea was a good one. She'd successfully tricked Elder Zhao and Yao Wang, but Elder Bai was a bit unlucky. He died with regret and regret. Back in Songshan, Cihua received a warning from Zhou Tiandi. Cihua was about to explode in anger. House Zhou was just a small family in Songshan and nobody compared to him. They were nothing more than characters like Zhong Fabai used to be. But Tiandi had Lin Yi behind him, and Cihua wasn't sure what Tiandi's intentions were. He asked carefully, and what he found shocked him. It was Lin Yi's idea, and Lin Yi had arranged for another follower of his, Hidden House Shuang, to come to Songshan and take over some of Cihua's businesses. This made Cihua extremely depressed. How did Hidden House Zhuang become Lin Yi's follower? If it was just Zhou Tiandi, Cihua would have been a bit more forceful. After all, he could tell that Lin Yi wasn't that close to House Zhou. It was just that Zhou Tiandi took the initiative to be his lackey. But with Hidden House Shuang, Cihua wouldn't be able to fight them alone. After ending the call with Tiandi, Cihua quickly reported the situation to Zhao Qibing, waiting for him to make a decision. Hello. Zhao Qibing was very happy to have another early phase Earth class fighter. Although he was also an early phase Earth class master, his combat strength was obviously weaker. He relied entirely on elixirs to get to where he was, and he seriously lacked actual battle experience. So, he felt that it was a good thing that Zhu II was joining them. He was in a good mood. Cihua, what's up? Master Bing. Zhou Tiandi came looking for me, just now. Cihua said as he told Zhao Qibing about Zhou Tiandi representing Lin Yi and Hidden House Shuang to take over Songshan's businesses. Cihua had more or less shares in the entertainment industry in Songshan, and although he didn't participate in the management, he still had a lot of shares. He wasn't willing to just pull them out like that. What? Hidden House Shuang has become Lin Yi's follower? Zhao Qibing was shocked and angered by Cihua's report. He never would have thought that Hidden House Shuang would be working for Lin Yi. This made him feel a little incredulous. Is this news true or false? I'm not sure, but Zhou Tiandi said it so confidently. He wouldn't joke about Lin Yi and Hidden House Shuang, would he? He doesn't have the guts to do something like that. He can't afford to offend either of them. Cihua said. This was why he wasn't angry. Zhou Tiandi was a coward, and he shouldn't be spouting nonsense about something like this. How about this? I'll ask around, and I'll get back to you. Chapter 2589. Chapter 2599, Drunken Centipede. And so, he'd been thinking hard these past few days. How could he find a chance to get close to Lin Yi? Would Lin Yi get angry if he went there without a plan? As he was thinking, his phone rang. It was Zhao Qibing, and Zhuang Niadeo picked it up. Master Bing, why are you calling me? Zhuang Niadeo and Zhao Qibing weren't too familiar with each other. They only knew each other, and didn't have much of a relationship. But since Zhao Qibing was the next head of the Hidden House Zhao, it was inevitable that they would have to interact in the future. So Zhuang Niadeo's tone was still very polite. Master Zhuang, it's like this. I want to ask you something. Your hidden house and Lin Yi. Zhao Qibing asked carefully. Oh, Zhuang Niadeo's face changed, remembering his grandpa's orders. Master Bing, you're not thinking of looking for trouble with Linny, are you? But I can't get involved. Not only can I not get involved, but I'll have to help Boss Lin Yi deal with you. Our hidden house is now Boss Lin Yi's follower, so I hope you'll think twice before you act. Ugh, it's not that, I'm just asking. Qibing didn't expect this to be true. He was shocked, but sadly he knew that with Lin Yi's forceful interference and the hidden house Shuang's presence, they wouldn't be able to take back Songshan's land anymore. That's good. Zhuang Niadeo sighed in relief and hung up. Zhao Qibing, on the other hand, called Sihua again. Master Bing, how is it? Any news? Sihua asked carefully. Yes, Hidden House Shuang has joined Lin Yi's side. Zhao Qibing said helplessly. Come back, leave Songshan. I'm not there anymore, and Songshan isn't a place we can reach. Give it to Lin Yi if he wants it. I don't want to offend Lin Yi for now. All right. So what do we do when we get back to Donghai? Sihua asked. After you return to East Ocean City, go to the East Ocean Engineering University. Find a house near the university and open a bar. However, your main task is to see if you can please Lin Yi for me. Qibing sighed. If you see Lin Yi, do your best to help him, that's all. Oh, curry favor with Lin Yi? Sihua paused. Master Bing, are we, the Hidden House Xiao, going to change our strategy as well? We're going to get on Lin Yi's good side, aren't we? Of course not. Qibing shook his head. I need his help. Wait for me. Never mind. Let's not talk about this. Just remember what I said. All right. Sihua nodded. And so, Sihua, Jiaonong, Zhang Yuzhou, and the others left quickly, handing over the floating cloud bar to Tiendi on the same day, along with the shares from the other companies. Sihua's people weren't in Songshan anymore, so there was no point in keeping the shares. These companies were all local construction companies and entertainment industry owners, and Sihua's shares were given to Sihua in hopes that he could help them out when they ran into trouble. These would be Tiendi's businesses from now on. The bar was officially renamed to Tiendi Bar. Lin Yi naturally couldn't use his name, so it was best to let Tiendi use his name. He also announced to the public that Tiendi's backer was the Hidden House Shuang, and that it had nothing to do with Lin Yi. Only the hidden houses knew that Lin Yi was the Hidden House Shuang's backer. Every day and every day sect. Master Chunyang asked Naipeo to call Pinliang over. He didn't want to get involved in Pinliang's business anymore, but for the sake of his beloved disciple, he had no choice but to do it this time. If Master Chunyang didn't help, Naipeo wouldn't be able to focus on practicing. In order to reassure his beloved disciple, Master Chunyang racked his brains and finally came up with a good idea. Disciple Zhong, Pingliang greets the pure young celestial master. I wish the celestial master a long and prosperous life. Zhong Pingliang said, respectfully. Heavenly venerate, pure yang frowned. What are you talking about? Why does it sound so familiar? I think it's the leader of the God-Dragon sect. Wasn't he killed by Wei Xiaobao? Ugh. Pinliang wanted to suck up to Master Chunyang, but he didn't. He didn't expect Master Chunyang to read novels as well. He sweated. He's not as strong as Master. It's normal for him to be killed, but Master is different. Oh, all right, let's not talk about these random things. I've thought of a good way to get revenge for you. Master Chunyang waved his hand. What, masterly? You're too good to your disciple. Pinliang was overjoyed. He didn't think that he would have a chance to get revenge. Of course it's true. When have I ever lied? Master Chunyang said faintly, I'll give you another treasure. It's a spirit beast, and although it's not a high level, it has some special abilities. Spirit beast. Pinliang's eyes lit up. He had been in contact with many things in the world of cultivation, and naturally he knew what a spirit beast was. It would be great if he could get one to fight against Lin Yi. That's right. This spirit beast is called the 100 Drunken Centipede. This centipede can be used to bite people, and those bitten will faint within an hour. There's no cure. Master Chunyang said. So, if you challenge Linny again, use the centipede to secretly bite him, and he'll faint. That way, you can beat him up however you want. Oh, that good. Pin Liang was overjoyed when he heard that there was such a good spirit beast. Then I'll bet with him. I'll bet on the mid-grade golden cicada underwear. He'll definitely lose. Yes, that's what I mean too. I'll let you bet on the golden cicada underwear, Master Chunyang said. However, remember, don't use this 100 drunken centipede carelessly. This centipede can only be used 3 times a month. If you exceed 3 times, you'll have to wait until next month. Ah, there's such a restriction. Pin Liang originally wanted to go back and continue challenging, but after hearing this, he quickly gave up the idea. It seemed that he couldn't use it carelessly. He could only use it at critical moments. Chapter 2590. The right house's suspicion, that's easy. I understand, Master. Pin Liang nodded. He understood how to use the centipede in an instant. It was very simple. Okay, study it first. Once you've mastered it, you can leave the mountain. Chunyang's Sky Master nodded. Yes, Master. Pin Liang replied quickly. This centipede was something that Chunyang's Sky Master had spent a lot of effort to come up with. He didn't dare give Pin Liang anything that was too high class now. This kid was too useless. Even the mid-class golden cicada underwear could be swapped out by others. He was really too useless. So this time, Chunyang's Sky Master gave him a treasure that wasn't too bad. This thing was useless in the everyday and everyday sect. It wasn't important, so Chunyang's Sky Master didn't feel too bad about it. Red Conk's foreign headquarters. After the 3rd leader returned to his place, he was very unhappy. He hated Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. He didn't want to take revenge for strategist Juga. After all, strategist Juga was just one of his underlings. It didn't matter if he died or not. The main problem was that he wanted to use strategist Juga to occupy this lucrative position and get some money from it. However, before this plan could be implemented, Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company ruined it and killed strategist Juga. How could he just let it go? Naturally, he didn't want to let Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company go just like that. However, he didn't dare to go against Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company openly. He had to find other ways to deal with them. The 3rd leader was indeed strategist Juga's backer. He was just like strategist Juga, a sinister person. He didn't do it himself. Instead, he called a leader of the Fire Wolves that he had a good relationship with. This leader was an elder of the Fire Wolves' northern branch in the country. He wanted this elder's help to deal with Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company and split the profits evenly. The elder of the Fire Wolf Gang's northern division pondered for a while. He felt that he should discuss this matter with the current leader of the northern division. After all, this was a huge matter. Although the Fire Wolf Gang and the Red Conch Gang were one, it wasn't good for them to bypass the Red Conch Gang's local branch and directly cooperate with the Red Conch Gang's headquarters. The 3rd leader wasn't in a rush. If he went to Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company now, it would be easy for people to guess that it was Red Conch's revenge. However, after a while, he would use other methods, and no one would be able to contact him. The elder of the North Division was the one who'd saved Jiang Wen and Njenda from Lin Yi's hands. But his current strength wasn't enough for Lin Yi. Lin Yi had to give him some face and let Jiang Wen go because he wasn't strong enough. At this moment, the northern branch elder, the leader, and Jiang Wen were sitting in a villa in Donghai City. They were discussing the arrangements made by the 3rd leader of Red Conch's headquarters. Jiang Wen was in favor of the Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. This was Lin Yi's company. It would be great if he could do something to Lin Yi's company. He was worried that he didn't have a new way to earn money. Although the casino was profitable, it was far from what he had done in the past. Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company was a treasure bowl. There was so much money that Jiang Wen didn't have the chance to get it. If he had the chance, he would have gone there a long time ago. With Jiang Wen's support, this plan would be a lot easier. Jiang Wen was the best person to carry out the mission. It was best to leave this matter to him. Hidden House Yu. At this moment, old Yu, Yu Jintian, Yu Third, and Yu Coiling Tiger were all sitting in a secret room. Old Yu had a serious expression on his face. Yu Third, have you checked it out? Those elixirs that appeared in the auction were really provided by Ling Yi? And Ling Yi is the Lin you mentioned? Old Yu was shocked. He didn't expect that the high-quality elixirs that appeared in the cultivator's market were auctioned by Lin Yi. Before this, after the high-quality elixirs appeared in the cultivator's market, Hidden House you had been investigating. They couldn't let their competitor continue to develop. They didn't know who their competitor was, but the result of their investigation was shocking. It was actually provided by Lin Yi. According to our acquaintances in the cultivator's market, it was indeed provided by the masked Ling Yi. The pattern and image of the mask match, and I can confirm that Ling Yi is Lin Yi. When I wanted to snatch the pure topaz, Lin Yi revealed his identity. Yu Third said with certainty. Lin Yi, it's actually Lin Yi? How is this possible? Even if Lin Yi is a second-grade alchemist, it's impossible to refine so many finished elixirs in a short time, right? And the quality is so good. Old Yu couldn't figure it out. Could it be that both he and Han Jingjing are alchemists? That's not right. The materials we gave them for second-grade ammunition are limited. Lin Yi can buy materials from other places. I heard that Lin Yi contacted the people in the cultivator's market to buy medicinal materials from them. In other words, Lin Yi probably has other channels to buy medicinal materials. Yu Third said, after all, most of the materials for second-grade elixirs are not particularly rare. They can be bought. Oh, that's true. Old Yu nodded. In other words, these elixirs were refined by Lin Yi and Han Jingjing together? Impossible. Yu Panhu said, Grandpa, I heard from Lin Yi and Boss by that he can't refine elixirs. Although he can stimulate the alchemy fire, it seems that because of the wrong attribute in his body, he can't change the size and temperature of the fire. It's just a show, so the person who refined elixirs must be Han Jingjing. Oh, so these elixirs were refined by Han Jingjing in a short time? Old Yu frowned even more. Even if they can buy materials from other channels, how long did we give them the second-grade medicinal cauldron? They didn't have a medicinal cauldron before, and they still went to the antique market to buy junk, right? Chapter 2591. Quiet Trouble. That's right. Han Jingjing definitely has better pill refining materials in her hands that can increase the success rate and quality of the pills. Old Man Yu nodded and said, Coiling Tiger, are you sure that every time Boss Bai gave Lin Yi's information you saw it? You didn't miss anything? That's for sure. Besides, the information I exchanged from Lin Yi was also done step by step. Only this time did I get something good. The previous ones were all ordinary stuff, Yu Coiling Tiger said, and when Han Jingjing was refining pills, there was no such information. Their information must be their own, not given by Boss Bai. That's true. W. Old Master Yu nodded. In other words, Han Jingjing definitely has good alchemy materials in her hands, right? That must be it, Yu Coiling Tiger said. Otherwise, why wouldn't Han Jingjing show me her information every time I went to see her? Logically speaking, I've already gotten all of her information. If she doesn't show me the rest, then there must be a problem. By the way, Father, I suddenly remembered something. Yu Jintian frowned and suddenly said with a solemn expression, We've all overlooked something important. What is it? Old Master Yu was stunned. Father, do you remember when we found the tomb of the elixir god Zhang Liju near Songshan? Yu Jintian said, In the eyes of normal people, Zhang Liju was the medical saint, but in the mouth of practitioners, Zhang Liju was the elixir god. That's true. But what does this have to do with Lin Yi? At that time, Old Man Yu also wanted to rob the ancient tomb, but later he heard that the ancient tomb was extremely dangerous. so he gave up. It doesn't seem to be related, but it is actually very related. Father, do you remember how Lin Yi provoked Hidden House Yu and Hidden House Xiao? Where did the Hidden House Yu's Yu Huishing find the qi gathering pill? Yu Jintian asked. Ancient tomb. Lin Yi also went to the ancient tomb. Elder Yu reacted at once. Yes, since Lin Yi snatched a qi gathering pill, it meant that Lin Yi must have been to the ancient tomb. Otherwise, how could Lin Yi know so much about it? Later on, it was said that Yu Huishing had admitted and realized that the person in the tomb was Lin Yi in disguise. Yeah. Do you think it's possible that Lin Yi found Zhang Liju's notes in the tomb and gave it to Han Jingjing? Yu Jintian said. Otherwise, how could Han Jingjing be so good at making elixirs and improving at a godly speed? That's right. If that's the case, then everything makes sense. Old Yu nodded. That must be the case. Lin Yi must have gotten Zhang Liju's refiner's notes. No wonder he didn't like what Boss Bai gave him and gave us Boss Bai's notes so easily. It turns out that he has something better. Grandpa, then I'll go trade with Lin Yi? You coiling tiger asked quickly. No, you go trade with Lin Yi. Lin Yi won't give you Zhang Liju's notes. It'll expose our purpose too. Old Yu shook his head decisively and denied Yu coiling tiger's suggestion. Things are out of our hidden house Yu's range now. Since we can't trade, we can't take it by force. Last time, third brother, you almost died pretending to be a robber. We can't take the risk and offend Lin Yi. So we give up just like that? Yu coiling tiger was also a refiner. He knew the importance of good information. He also knew how difficult it was for Han Jingjing to be able to make so many high-quality pills in such a short time. He wanted to learn as well. Of course, the hidden house you didn't doubt that Han Jingjing could concoct pills together and even make a few extra pills. To them, this was unimaginable. Of course we can't give up. However, we have to report this to Sky Elixir Sect. As long as Sky Elixir Sect obtains this information, we can also get a share of it. After all, we were the ones who leaked the information. That's true. Yu coiling tiger was a little disappointed. It seemed like this had nothing to do with him. After the secret talk, old Master Yu reported his deduction to Silkworm Change. However, when he heard that Han Jingjing was Boss Bai's student, Silkworm Change hesitated. This matter was not something he could decide, so he could only continue to report to his grandfather and report to his superiors. Old Tian's other identity was that place's representative in the ancient level. He knew a little more, so it was a bit of a headache for him to deal with Boss Bai's student. He could only continue to report it to the higher-ups, to the Xianqin elder. Yu coiling tiger didn't expect that their greed for Han Jingjing's information would actually alarm the people of that place. The Xianqin elder listened to old Tian's report, and his face darkened. It was actually Zhang Liju's refiner's notes. That was such an important thing. Although Han Jingjing was Boss Bai's student, what if it was done in secret? Thinking of this, the Xianqin elder immediately went to find his second senior brother, the Xuanjin elder. Second senior brother, take a look at this information from the ancient Sky Elixir Sect. The Xianqin elder passed the information to the Xuanjin elder. Oh, information from the Sky Elixir Sect? The Xuanjin elder took the information from the Xianqin elder and read it carefully. But halfway through, his face changed. Zhang Liju's refiner's notes? That's right, it's Zhang Liju's refiner's notes. He's also our second master's teacher. The Xianqin elder nodded. You're saying that we should get this information back? But this Han Jingjing, she's boss's disciple. The Xuanjin elder hesitated. His refiner's skills were higher than the Xianqin elders, and he had more pursuits as well. But after seeing Han Jingjing's identity, he backed off. What disciple? She's just a student. It's just a normal teacher-student relationship. It's not a big deal. The Xianqin elder smiled. And it seems like this student is hiding something. Boss doesn't know that she has Zhang Liju's refiner's notes. Plus, Zhang Liju is our second master's teacher. It's reasonable for us to get this information back, right? That's true, but it involves Boss. The Xuanjin elder was still hesitant. Chapter 2592 FF37 FF18 XFF33 FF23 OMU 85C0F 8BF4 66F4 65B0 6700 5 February 5C0F 8BF4 9605 8BFB 7F51 This? Then don't hurt her. It's best to get the information back, secretly. The Xuanjin ancestor sighed and finally nodded. After all, he was looking forward to this information. Don't worry, that's Boss's territory. I have to give him some face, right? The Xuanjin ancestor smiled. All right then, make the arrangements. If there's nothing else, I'll continue looking for a way to cure Tagan Dragon. The Xuanjin ancestor didn't like to get involved in disputes. His energy was spent on training and studying Tagan Dragon's injuries. All right, second brother, leave it to me. The Xianqin ancestor stood up and sent the Xuanjin ancestor away. He then called his eldest disciple, Little E, in. Greetings, master. Little E said respectfully. Little E, take a look at this information first. The Xianqin ancestor threw the information to Little E and said, Yes, master. Little E took the information and quickly read it carefully. In the end, he asked carefully, Master, you mean that I should look for this Han Jingjing on the way down the mountain? That's right. No matter what, you have to force Zhang Liju's notes out of her. The Xianqin ancestor said coldly, but you have to be mindful that this is your uncle's territory. Don't let him see it. He's famous for being protective, understand? I understand. Don't worry, master. Little Yi's expression turned serious as he quickly replied, Then what happens after we force her to reveal the whereabouts of the notes? Do I need to teach you? The Xianqin ancestor snorted and made a gesture of cutting his throat. Yes, master. Little One hurriedly nodded. Don't tell your second, martial uncle about this either. Just keep it to yourself, understand? The Xianqin ancestor warned again. The Xuanjin ancestor was soft-hearted and couldn't bear to do something bad. However, the Xianqin ancestor was ruthless. He viewed human lives as worthless and didn't care about such things. Don't worry, master. I will be careful. Little E also knew that his second martial uncle was benevolent, so it was better not to let him know about this matter of silencing someone. Yes, you are the disciple I trust the most. This time don't go alone. Bring along 11th, who's also your junior sister. Let her broaden her horizons, said Patriarch Xianqin. Thank you, master. A look of joy flashed in Little Yi's eyes. The few of them were secretly in love with little junior sister. If he and little junior sister descended the mountain together, wouldn't there be a chance? Actually, speaking of this little junior sister, although she was quite pretty, she had a mean appearance. It was very cool, but not very gentle. However, there was only one female disciple on the mountain. There were too many wolves and not enough meat. Therefore, Little One and the other senior and junior brothers all had a crush on this little junior sister. It was just that this junior sister's temper was abnormally bad, and her character was not very good. However, Little One did know that this junior sister's other identity was Patriarch Xuanqin's illegitimate daughter. Patriarch Xianqin didn't seem to be married and didn't have any children. However, when he was young, he left behind a child. This child was little junior sister, but that woman died from a difficult birth. There weren't many people who knew about this. This was also the reason why this little junior sister could be arrogant and domineering in the sect, even though she was crafty and mean. Little One thought even further. If he could marry little junior sister, wouldn't his relationship with Master be closer in the future? If there was a chance to open the heavenly island, would Master bring him there too? This was Little One's expectation. That afternoon, Little One and Little 11 packed their bags and went down the mountain. Their first target was Sun Jingyi. Sun Jingyi's identity was very easy to investigate. As long as they took her portrait and investigated in Songshan, they would quickly find out her identity. Previously, Sun Jingyi was a celebrity in the business world. She had her own company and had business dealings with many trading companies, so it was very easy to find out her identity. As for Lin Yi, Patriarch Xuanzhen's men didn't alarm the local hidden families or the forces of the families. They only asked ordinary people, so naturally they wouldn't know Lin Yi's identity. Patriarch Xianqin was very secretive. In fact, he was also afraid that their big brother, Patriarch Xianqin, would find out about their little tricks in private. Patriarch Xuanzhen's heart was similar to Patriarch Xuanzhen's. They were both kind-hearted and couldn't stand bullying others. So all of this was done in secret. Now that they'd found out Sun Jingyi's identity, the identity of the Zhang Naipeo man with her wasn't important anymore. As long as they captured Sun Jingyi, they'd be able to find the treasure, and they'd be able to lure that man over. Although Patriarch Xianqian and Patriarch Xuanzhen said that it was on the way, Patriarch Xianqin and Little Yi didn't say so. Han Jingjing's matter was equally important, even more important than revenge. At the end of the day, Tagon Long was already like this. Revenge was just a pleasure in the heart. Finding that treasure and Zhang Liju's notes was the most important. With a clear target in mind, finding people was naturally easy. The people sent out by that place had their eyes on Jingyi even before Little One and Little 11 had arrived. At the moment, Jingyi was training in the hotel room of the Shueshan Hotel. Sun Jingyi practiced the Sun family's arts using the magical little stone that Lin Yi and she found in the Wulanhate Mountains. At first, Sun Jingyi broke through the first level of the arts and successfully entered the second level. Then, she continued to soar, and just as she was about to complete the second level, Sun Jingyi was shocked to find that the qi in the stone was becoming less and less. Although it wasn't to the point where it was completely gone, it was definitely not as abundant as before, and Sun Jingyi's cultivation speed had also slowed down, almost to a standstill. Originally, Sun Jingyi wanted to report her cultivation situation to Lin Yi to make him happy, but before Sun Jingyi could say anything, something like this happened. Sun Jingyi didn't know if her original cultivation speed had slowed down, or if the qi in the stone was almost used up. If it was almost used up, wouldn't that be too much of a scam? The thing that she had spent so much effort to find was used up so quickly? Just when Sun Jingyi was confused, there was a knock on the door. "Who is it?" Sun Jingyi asked. "Waiter, clean the room." A female voice came from outside the room. Sun Jingyi didn't think much and opened the door. After all, she stayed in a hotel room every day, and the waiter would come to clean the room and send some daily toiletries. FF37, W03C9, 30FB, off 4D. Chapter 2593, FF37, FF18, XFF33. FF23, OMU85C0F, 8BF4, 66F4, 65B0, 6700, 5 February, 5C0F, 8BF4, 9605, 8BFB, 7F51. But unexpectedly, the person who entered was a woman dressed in black. The moment she entered, she tapped Sun Jingyi's body and sealed Sun Jingyi's acupoints, making her unable to move or speak. True ancient martial arts. Sun Jingyi was shocked. Although Lin Yi was also proficient in sealing acupoints, that was a lost art. Sun Jingyi never expected that the person who entered was also an expert in this field. Following the woman in black was a long-haired man with a gloomy appearance. After the two of them entered, they immediately closed the door. Sun Jingyi's room was at the end of the hotel corridor. Beside, it was a power-changing room. In addition, the sound insulation was good, so it was impossible for the sound in the room to spread to other rooms. Sun Jingyi originally wanted to cultivate here without being disturbed, but she never expected that it would become the best place for Little One and Little 11 to make a move. That's right, these two people were Little One and Little 11, who came from that place under the orders of ancestor Xianqin to find Sun Jingyi and Han Jingjing. They also booked a room in the hotel, but when they saw Sun Jingyi's room, they immediately changed their minds. Sun Jingyi's room was more secure and confidential than theirs. It was easier to directly interrogate Sun Jingyi here than to capture her. Little junior sister, I'll interrogate her here first. You go and capture Han Jingjing. In school, it's more convenient for you to make a move than me, Little One said to Little 11. Okay, eldest senior brother. I hope you can get some clues before I come back, Little junior sister said. Don't worry, little junior sister. I definitely won't let down Master's trust, Little One said as he patted his chest. However, this girl is a beauty. You have to be careful when you interrogate her. The little junior sister glanced at Sun Jingyi and warned her. Ahem, ahem. Small One jumped in fright and hurriedly expressed his loyalty. Little junior sister, the heavens and earth can bear witness to my feelings for you. How could I do such a thing? Humph, I hope what you said is true. Little junior sister snorted coldly. He turned around and left the room. As for Small One, his forehead was covered in cold sweat. Although Sun Jingyi was beautiful, and many times more beautiful than his junior sister, Small One was very clear that he couldn't touch this woman. Even if he had thoughts about her, he couldn't. Otherwise, if his junior sister found out, he wouldn't have a chance. Little junior sister was not as good as Sun Jingyi. Moreover, his personality wasn't good, but he had a powerful father. If he married him, then Little One would be able to obtain more cultivation resources in that place in the future. When he went to the Heaven Stage Island, he would even be able to obtain more than others. For a cultivator of his level, pursuing the heavenly Tao was more tempting. Women were secondary. Of course, women who were useful to him were another matter altogether. All right, you can speak now. Small One casually pointed. A steel ball popped out of Sun Jingyi's body, and Sun Jingyi regained her ability to speak. In order to avoid arousing suspicion, Small One didn't even touch Sun Jingyi. He didn't want to lose the opportunity to advance to the heavenly Tao because of a beautiful woman. Among his fellow disciples, his relationship with his junior sister was considered pretty good. He wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to work together. He wanted to cultivate more feelings, and from his master's actions this time, it could be seen that he also had this intention. Therefore, it was impossible for Small One not to seize this opportunity. Who are you? What is your purpose for coming here? Sun Jingyi didn't shout, because she knew the geographical location of the room she had booked. At this time, if she shouted, unless it was at the door, it would be very difficult for outsiders to hear. In the end, she was someone who had gone through many storms with Lin Yi, so at this time, she didn't panic too much. Sun Jingyi, right? Was it you and a person called Zhang Naipeo who went to Oolong Mountains, took the treasure and killed my 6th, 12th, and 13th brothers? Small One didn't beat around the bush with Sun Jingyi and went straight to the point. Since you've already investigated, why ask me? Sun Jingyi wasn't stupid. This person even knew her name and knew that she went to Oolong Mountains with Lin Yi. Even if he didn't know Lin Yi's name, he knew the truth pretty well, so Sun Jingyi didn't have to hide it. You're here to avenge them? You can say yes and you can say no. You don't have much power on you, so if you want to talk about killing, it should be that Zhang Naipeo who killed them. Now, I'll give you a chance to live. What is the treasure you got? Tell me and I won't kill you. Small One asked. Treasure? Sun Jingyi sighed. A wise man didn't fight when the odds were against him, and the treasure didn't seem to be very useful to her anymore. Even if she didn't say anything, the other party could still find it after searching her room. So, Sun Jingyi said directly, It's on the bed over there in that small box. Small One didn't think that things would go so smoothly. He didn't even need to use a bunch of threatening words. It saved him a lot of trouble. Small One picked up the small box on the bed and opened it, but frowned when he saw what was inside. Pure Chi energy stone? Small One took out the stone and looked at it a few times before throwing it back into the box. And it's a stone that's almost used up? This is the treasure you got? So it's this. What else is there? Sun Jingyi paused. It seemed like there were other things besides this. Just this one. This thing can only increase the speed of cultivation, but it can't step into the path of heaven. Small One was completely uninterested in the energy stone and threw it back on the bed. He frowned and asked, "You're not lying?" Sun Jingyi shook her head. "No. Look into my eyes." Small One suddenly shouted. "Ah!" Sun Jingyi subconsciously raised her head and looked into Small One's eyes. But with one look, her face suddenly became confused, and the previous nervousness in her eyes was replaced with a dull look. Phew! Small One looked at Sun Jingyi's appearance and smiled. It seemed that his hypnotism was successful. Hypnotism was actually a kind of spiritual power release for cultivators. Alchemists and weapon-forging masters with strong spiritual power could use it, and people from that place more or less knew some alchemy skills, so they weren't unfamiliar with hypnotism. Of course, it was limited to ordinary people like Sun Jingyi, who didn't have any cultivation ability. If the other party was a cultivator, even if it was a yellow rank cultivator, it would be difficult to use it, and if it was a mystic or earth rank cultivator, it was basically impossible to succeed, unless it was an extremely heaven-defying hypnotism. FF37, W03C9, 30FB, off 4D. Chapter 2594. The troublesome result, however, little E didn't know how to do it, and neither did little junior sister. Even Patriarch Xianchen himself didn't know how to do it. Those hypnosis techniques were all secret techniques, and those who cultivated them were all demon sect disciples. For example, the Everyday and Everyday sect had a hypnosis expert in the past. "What's your name?" "What's the name of the person who went to the Wulong Haut mountain range with you?" "Where is he now?" Little E asked. "My name is Sun Jingyi. The person who went to the Wulong Haut mountain range with me is called Lin Yi. He's studying medicine in the biology department of Donghai Engineering University." Sun Jingyi answered blankly. "Biology department of medicine." Little Yi's mouth twitched. Why was it this major again? It seemed like things were going to be a little difficult. He had to keep a low profile when he went to catch them later. So he said, "Why did you go to the Wulong Haut mountain range? What was the treasure you found in the Wulong Haut mountain range?" "I went to the Wulong Haut mountain range because, among the things my parents left me, there was a map. It was the treasure map of that treasure," Sun Jingyi said truthfully. "That treasure is the stone that can cultivate on the bed." After hearing this, Little E frowned. It seemed that Sun Jingyi wasn't lying. It seemed that Little 6, Little 12, and Little 13's deaths were really not worth it. They actually lost their lives for such a useless treasure. He originally thought that this sect had something good, but he didn't expect that the so-called treasure was this. "Did you have any other fortuitous encounters? You only got this one thing from the Wulong Haut mountain range?" Little E asked unwillingly. "We also encountered the fire lions and spiders." As she spoke, Sun Jingyi told him about encountering the fire lions and spiders in the Wulong Haut mountain range, and also about the teleportation array that could open the heavenly Tao. However, Little E was surprised and overjoyed when he heard that the teleportation array could only be used 3 times. It had already been used twice before, and the fire lions and spiders had disappeared. Then it was impossible for Little E not to think of some troublesome things. Was the last usage, right, of the teleportation formation used by the Fire Lion clan and the Spider clan? If that was really the case, then it would make him speechless. Although they had found the shortcut to the heaven Tao that they had painstakingly searched for, it couldn't be used anymore. This was simply like a starving person seeing a piece of bread, only to realize that the bread was just a model. As for Sun Jingyi, he no longer wanted to ask anything. Even the thought of looking for Lin Yi had faded. The matter was already very clear. The so-called precious treasure was not a precious treasure in Xiao Yi's eyes. The real precious treasure was the Heaven's Way teleportation formation, but it was probably unusable now. Draw the map of the cave for me right now. Xiao Yi flicked out another steel ball, allowing Sun Jingyi to regain her ability to move. He then gave her a pen and a piece of paper, asking her to draw the map on it. Sun Jingyi didn't remember the details, but she could still draw the general location. Xiao Yi and the others knew the map of Wulong Heot like the back of their hands. Although it wasn't very accurate, Sun Jingyi could more or less determine the general location of the cave. Donghai Engineering University, Lin Yi came to school after sending off the Zhu brothers. He had actually made an important decision this time. He was going to show Boss by the notes of Zhang Liju's refiner that he had found in the ancient tomb. As for Boss by selflessly giving his own information to Lin Yi, even letting Lin Yi exchange it with Right Coiling Tiger, Lin Yi was very grateful. If the first one was just normal information, then the later one was Boss Bai's unique secret manual. After all, it was left to him by his Shifu. And Lin Yi wasn't the kind of person who only asked for things without thinking of reciprocation. He was a person who could clearly distinguish between kindness and hatred. Since Boss Bai was like this, he would naturally return the favor. In fact, the simplest way that Lin Yi could think of was to help Boss by recover his injured meridians and let him become a refiner again. This would be the greatest help to both Lin Yi and Han Jingjing. However, there were too many things involved, and Boss Bai would inevitably know Lin Yi's secrets. Although Lin Yi and Boss Bai had a good relationship as teacher and student up until now, Lin Yi still didn't know about Boss Bai's background and the secrets behind it. Which force and sect did he belong to back then? Lin Yi had to figure it out. Even if Lin Yi didn't think that Boss Bai would harm him, his abilities were simply too scary. Boss Bai's injuries were clearly different from Zhu Lao Tu and Pai Zhihai's injuries. Although Boss Bai didn't say it out loud, Lin Yi could tell that there was definitely something behind his injuries back then. Was his injury caused by the enemy, or was it caused by other methods? It wasn't that Lin Yi didn't trust Boss Bai, but he was afraid of the consequences after Boss Bai recovered. If Boss Bai's enemies knew that he had recovered, what would they think? What kind of person was Boss Bai? At least the ancient level. So Lin Yi didn't want to bring trouble to himself. As for letting Boss Bai see Zhang Liju's refiner notes, it was just a compromise. It was lunch break now, and Lin Yi didn't go to the classroom. He went straight to Boss Bai's office and knocked on the door. Boss Bai was indeed there. "Come in." Boss Bai's voice came from the office. Lin Yi opened the door, a smile on his face. "Teacher Bai." "HM? Lin Yi, why are you here?" Boss Bai was a bit puzzled. Lin Yi rarely came uninvited unless he was invited. Otherwise, it was hard to see him at school, and he had been asking for leave recently. "Teacher Bai, there's something I need to talk to you about," Lin Yi said, seriously as he closed the door. "Oh, what is it? Sit down and talk." Boss Bai looked at Lin Yi's serious tone and found it strange. He didn't understand what Lin Yi had to do to make such a big fuss. "It's like this, actually. There's something I've been hiding from you." Lin Yi was a bit ashamed. Boss Bai had been taking care of him wholeheartedly, but Lin Yi had been holding back. "What is it?" Boss Bai heard Lin Yi's words and was even more confused. "Is it about you being a refiner?" "Kind of, but also not." Lin Yi smiled bitterly and told the truth. "Actually, I've been to Zhang Liju's grave before." Chapter 2595. Han Jingjing. Kidnapped? wasn't that Boss Bai hadn't heard of Zhang Liju's tomb. He knew where it was, and he knew that there were good things inside, but his Shifu had sent people to investigate the tomb before, and it was full of traps and traps, so they gave up on the idea of going in. After all, if a sky class went in and didn't come out, who would dare to go in? Although the news had reported that a group of tomb robbers had been caught, and Boss Bai had guessed that they might have gone to Zhang Liju's tomb, but he didn't really care. Zhang Liju's tomb wasn't a place anyone could enter. It was said that the traps inside could only be entered with a detailed map and instructions that had been passed down at the beginning without being killed. Boss Bai stayed around to teach because he wanted to look for the lost map and instructions that had been lost years ago, too. It was just that it had been too long and there were no clues to follow. However, Boss Bai was only a little surprised before returning to normal. Haha, you're trying to say that you've been to the Grand Master's tomb, right? That's fine. You haven't gone in yet, right? Actually, my Shifu had plans to rob tombs back then, and he wanted to see if there were any notes left behind by Zhang Liju. I went in. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. It seemed that Boss Bai had misunderstood him, thinking that Lin Yi was admitting that he had offended the Grand Master. But that wasn't what Lin Yi meant. What? You went in. Then how did you come out? Boss Bai's eyes widened as he looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. Oh, I get it. You just went in and you came out? Master Bai, I'll tell you the truth. I entered the tomb and got Zhang Liju's notes, and his pet followed me out of the tomb as well. Lin Yi quickly interrupted by Boss's words and said directly, What? You actually got Master Zhang Liju's refiner's notes? And his pet? Could it be the Skybolt pig? Boss Bai paused and looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. Yes, Lin Yi nodded. You've actually been acknowledged by the Skybolt pig? According to the legends, the one who was recognized by Skybolt pig was Zhang Liju's last disciple. And you? Bai Boss was a bit messed up as he stood up. According to the teachings of our ancestors, you are also my ancestor. Grandmaster, please accept this disciple's bow. Don't. Teacher Bai, what are you doing? Lin Yi jumped in fright and quickly held on to Boss Bai, stopping him from kowtowing. I was just lucky enough to get this alchemist's notes, and Skybolt Pig only followed me because we were fated to get along. How could I be your ancestor? That's what the ancestors told us. Master Zhang Liju left a letter saying that he was going to find a disciple, and whoever got his notes and got the approval of Skybolt Pig would be his disciple, the next inheritor of his legacy. But all these years we haven't seen Skybolt Pig and Master Zhang Liju's notes. We suspected that he didn't find a disciple and brought them into the tomb, and now it seems like that's the case. Boss Bai explained, so the rules of the ancestors can't be ignored. Since you got it and got the approval of Skybolt Pig, then you are my ancestor. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. He couldn't do anything about Boss Bai's stubbornness. All right, then let's talk about our own things. In this school, you're my teacher, right? I'm a student here, and you're a teacher here. That can't be changed, right? That's true. Boss Bai wasn't a stubborn person, and naturally he understood what Lin Yi meant. So, since I'm your ancestor, and you're my teacher, then let's help each other. But in school, you're still my teacher, and I'm still your student. In private, you can think whatever you want. Lin Yi could only take a step back. He didn't expect Zhang Liju to have this rule, but only a righteous person like Boss Bai would follow it. If it were someone with bad intentions, they would kill him and rob him of his treasure. There was no way they would acknowledge the existence of a grandmaster like him. That's fine. Boss Bai knew that the relationship between the two was a bit messy. In school, he was indeed Lin Yi's teacher. This was a fact that couldn't be changed. Master Bai, actually, I came here this time to show you the notes. After all, it's supposed to be yours. I kept it for so long before I took it out. Lin Yi said, a bit embarrassed. That's not right. Whether it's from the point of view of my ancestor or from the point of view of my disciple, this alchemist's notes are also yours. Even if it's between fellow disciples, it should be obtained by fate. I'm already very happy that you're willing to share it with me. Boss, but I didn't try to push it away. To be honest, he had been looking forward to this notes for a long time. All right, since everything's settled, I'll go find Han Jingjing and have her send you a copy. She's already scanned it into an electronic version. Lin Yi said. Now that everything was settled, Lin Yi had one of his wishes fulfilled. After all, Boss Bai had done so much for him, and it wouldn't be right if Lin Yi didn't return the favor. Although Zhang Liju's notes were much more valuable than the information Boss Bai had given him, it was still something that belonged to Master Bai's sect. Lin Yi took out his phone and was about to call Han Jingjing when Wang Xinyan called first. At noon, because Lin Yi didn't come, Wang Xinyan and Han Jingjing went to the cafeteria for lunch. But before they reached the cafeteria, a black SUV drove over and stopped beside Wang Xinyan and Han Jingjing. While the two were still in shock, the car door opened and a woman in black stepped out. She didn't even give Xinyan and Han Jingjing a chance to ask anything before striking first with a karate chop at Han Jingjing's neck. Han Jingjing was an earth class, but her defense was very weak. Plus, the woman in black was a sky class, so even if Han Jingjing had chi protecting her, it wouldn't be able to do anything. Chapter 2596. Hypnosis. Xinyan was a bit dumbfounded. Why was this the same as when she was kidnapped? But wasn't the kidnapping case solved? Why was it here again? Xinyan picked up the tablet from the ground and called Lin Yi's number. What's up, Xinyan? Lin Yi picked up Xinyan's call. Xinyan wouldn't call Lin Yi if it wasn't something important. She was always a little shy, like she couldn't let go of her emotions. Lin Yi, it's bad. Jingjing's been kidnapped, Xinyan said, panicking. It's a black Lexus, there's no license plate on the back, and I didn't see the front plate. What? Jingjing's been kidnapped? Lin Yi paused. He was just about to ask Han Jingjing to send the information to Boss Bai, but now she was kidnapped. Why was it another kidnapping? Was it Zhang Wen's doing? Lin Yi was furious at the thought, but he still tried to comfort her. Don't worry, Xinyan. Where are you? I'll go find you right now. I'm on the way to the cafeteria from the classroom. I passed by that flower bed, Xinyan said. Flower bed? Okay, got it. Lin Yi frowned. There were two paths from the school building to the cafeteria. One was the normal path, with more people, while Xinyan and Han Jingjing took the smaller path. The path here wasn't easy to walk on, and there were a lot of potholes and collapses. It was winter now, and it wouldn't be good for construction. They'd have to wait until next spring, so there weren't that many people in the day. Only couples would come here for a date at night, but it was winter now, so there weren't that many couples. Still, this path was only accessible by off-road vehicles. It seemed that the kidnappers had made preparations. Huh? But Lin Yi had misunderstood. Little One and Little 11 had come from out of town, so it was more convenient for them to use off-road vehicles. They weren't here to kidnap Han Jingjing. Lin Yi, what happened? Boss Bai heard the words like kidnapping and asked after Lin Yi hung up the phone. Han Jingjing has been kidnapped. I'll deal with it first. Mr. Bai, I'll give you the information after this is over, Lin Yi said quickly. Okay, don't worry about the documents. It's more important for you to save people first. Do you need any help? Boss Bai asked solemnly. Not now. I'll contact you when I need you. Lin Yi said. Okay, then keep in touch. Boss Bai nodded. Lin Yi quickly ran out of Boss Bai's office and dialed Zhang Wen's number. At this moment, Zhang Wen was discussing how to deal with Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company with the leader and elder of the Firewolves North when Lin Yi's call came in. Zhang Wen jumped in fright when he saw the caller ID. Why was it Lin Yi? Could it be that Lin Yi already knew about his plan? That was impossible. They had just started discussing and hadn't started yet. How did Lin Yi know about it? Zhang Wen quickly put a finger to his mouth. It's Lin Yi. The leader and elder's faces changed as well. The leader said, "Answer it and ask him what's the matter." Jiang Wen nodded and picked up the phone. "Boss Lin Yi, what's the matter? Why are you calling me all of a sudden?" "Jiang Wen, I don't have time to waste with you. I just want to ask you something. Are you kidnapping people again?" Lin Yi asked. "Kidnapping?" Jiang Wen paused and relaxed. "No, I haven't kidnapped people for a long time. I'm doing a legitimate business now. I'm running a casino." Lin Yi didn't know what to say when Jiang Wen said that running a casino was a legitimate business. But compared to what Jiang Wen had done before, this was the most legitimate business. "Are you sure?" Lin Yi asked. "My friend just got kidnapped and she's still alive. She's in the school." "No. Boss Lin Yi, don't you know who I am? Even if I wanted to kidnap someone, I wouldn't kidnap someone close to you. I haven't lived long enough." Jiang Wen smiled bitterly. "You can even kill a sky class in one hit. Even the elders of the Firewolf gang couldn't take you on. Do you think I'd offend you for some ransom money?" "Fine, I guess you're telling the truth." Lin Yi could tell from Jiang Wen's tone that this had nothing to do with him. He was right. There was no reason for him to offend Lin Yi for a few ransom money. He wouldn't take the risk unless there was something even bigger in front of him. But if it wasn't Jiang Wen, then who could it be? Lin Yi decided to find Wang Xinyan first. Little Yi got what he wanted to know. What he wanted to do now was to let Sun Jingyi lure Lin Yi out. Then he could go back and report after killing Lin Yi. Sun Jingyi had said what she needed to say. Little Yi didn't think that Lin Yi could say more. Instead of wasting time, he might as well kill Lin Yi. Otherwise, 11 had already captured Boss Bai's student. If he captured another one and Boss Bai came looking for him, it would be troublesome. Boss Bai knew him and 11. If he really knew what Elder Xianqin had done, he would definitely be very angry. It might even affect the inheritor's plan to open the Sky Class Island. That would be troublesome. So Little Yi decided to kill Lin Yi directly. At that time, Boss Bai would definitely panic and delay dealing with Lin Yi for a while. Here, the matter of interrogating Han Jingjing was also solved. Then he and Little Yi would leave Donghai City quietly with the results of the battle. One had to say that his plan was very good. "Okay, you can go now. Your room has been requisitioned by us. We still have some other things to do." Little Yi flicked out another steel ball, and Sun Jingyi's leg also regained feeling, and she could move freely. "Just let me go?" Sun Jingyi was a little confused. She didn't quite believe that Little Yi would let her go so easily, but it was no wonder. She had been in a state of hypnosis and didn't know what she said. Now that she came back to her senses, Little Yi let her go. "You've said what you need to say. I also got the map of the cave. Is it a waste of food to keep you?" Little Yi pointed at the map of the Wulong Haut mountain range in his hand and said lightly. The purpose of his saying this was to make Sun Jingyi believe that he really wanted to let Sun Jingyi go. Chapter 2597. Luring out Lin Yi. When Little 11 went to capture Han Jingjing, he could wait, but now Little 1 couldn't. Han Jingjing's disappearance had alarmed Boss Bai, and Little 1 wanted to end this quickly. When did I draw this? Sun Jingyi looked at the map in Little 1's hand in shock. "I know hypnosis." Just as Little 1 was speaking, the door rang, and Little 11 walked in with Han Jingjing in tow. Little 1 frowned, glaring at Jingyi. "Get the hell out of here now. I still have things to do here, and I don't have time to waste with you. If you want to die, I don't mind sending you on your way. This stone." Sun Jingyi looked at the cultivation stone on the bed and hesitated. "Take it and get lost." Little 1 was from that place, so he naturally didn't think much of the cultivation stone in Sun Jingyi's hands. If there was enough true qi, it would be useful, but this one clearly didn't have much true qi, so it was trash. "Oh!" Sun Jingyi hurriedly picked up the stone, and as soon as she looked up, she saw Little 11 and Han Jingjing in her hands. Her heart skipped a beat. She really had captured Han Jingjing. However, she didn't show it on the surface, pretending not to know Han Jingjing, and quickly walked to the door. At this point, Sun Jingyi also believed that little one wanted to let her go and had other things to do. "Little junior sister, you're back?" Little one said fawningly. "And it went well. How's your side?" Little junior sister was very satisfied with little one's incomparably rough attitude toward Sun Jingyi. The more it was like this, the more it proved that he didn't like Sun Jingyi. "I used hypnosis to get the answer, but the situation is a bit bad and a bit different from what we thought before. The so-called treasure is just a true Qi energy stone, and a stone without much true Qi. As for the treasure, it's another teleportation array. It seems that our previous thinking was wrong." Little one was one of the people who participated in the annihilation of Faubert's sect, and although little 11's strength wasn't enough, he also participated in the operation that year. Although she was weak, she was a vicious woman. At a young age, she had tortured those low-level disciples in Faubert's sect to death. She took pleasure in torturing others. The junior sister asked, "Teleportation array?" "Yes, it's a teleportation portal, but it might not be usable anymore." Little one explained the situation of the teleportation portal to little 11. In the end, he said, "I'll follow Sun Jingyi and kill the person who injured Taganlong. You can interrogate Han Jingjing first. She's an alchemist and a cultivator. Our hypnosis is useless on her, so interrogating people like her is your forte." "Hee, don't worry, eldest senior brother. Once this girl falls into my hands, she'll spit out all her secrets." A cruel smile appeared on the corner of the junior sister's mouth. Little one glanced at Han Jingjing's cute and delicate little face and thought to himself that it was a pity. There were almost no people that little junior sister could let go of, especially beautiful girls. They would basically be tortured to death. Little junior sister was most jealous of women who were prettier than her. However, in Little Yi's opinion, this was not a flaw. There were many cultivators with cruel minds. For example, his master, Patriarch Xianqin, had even dared to harm his eldest senior brother. In comparison, his daughter had only learned a little. Little one grew up under his master and was used to seeing crueler things. Therefore, he only felt that it was a pity that a beautiful girl like Han Jingjing was tortured to death. But he never felt that she was pitiful. Sun Jingyi was smarter. After leaving the hotel, she didn't drive her own car. Instead, she got into a taxi at the entrance of the hotel. Although it was very close to Donghai Industry University, and she could walk, Sun Jingyi still took a taxi. Her purpose was to prevent little one from following her. However, Sun Jingyi underestimated little one, an expert at the peak of the late stage of Heaven Stage. Not to mention that Sun Jingyi took a taxi. Even if she took a plane, he could still lock onto her. Moreover, Sun Jingyi had already told him where Lin Yi was under hypnosis. On the way to find Han Jingjing, Lin Yi received a call from Sun Jingyi. "Jingyi, what's the matter?" Lin Yi was worried about Han Jingjing's safety and didn't want to talk too much with Sun Jingyi. Therefore, if there was nothing important, he was ready to end the call. "Lin Yi, something's wrong. The enemies we messed with in Wulanhate Mountains are chasing us all the way to Donghai, and they went to my hotel just now to interrogate me about what happened back then. I think they've hypnotized me, and I've told them everything I know," Jingyi said in a panic. "They've also captured Han Jingjing. She's in my hotel room." "What? It's them?" Lin Yi was a little surprised. He didn't expect that the people who captured Han Jingjing were actually Taganlong's people. However, it was normal for them to capture Sun Jingyi. Why did they capture Han Jingjing? What relationship did Han Jingjing have with them? However, Lin Yi was even more surprised that Sun Jingyi could tip him off. "Jingyi, are you okay? Did they let you go?" "Yes, where are you?" "I'll go find you," Sun Jingyi said. "I'm here." "Forget it, I'll go find you. Wait for me at the school gate. I'll be there immediately," Lin Yi said. "Okay, I'll tell you on the way." Sun Jingyi nodded and told Lin Yi everything in detail. Wang Xinyan, on the other hand, followed Lin Yi to the school gate. When Lin Yi saw Sun Jingyi, he finally understood what was going on, but he still didn't know why they captured Han Jingjing. Fortunately for Lin Yi, Sun Jingyi didn't know about Faubert and Grandma Sun. If Sun Jingyi knew, she might say it when she was hypnotized, and then little Yi and the others would go and eliminate them. That would catch Lin Yi off guard. However, the strength of these people gave Lin Yi a headache. Although Lin Yi was no longer the Lin Yi who couldn't fight back when he was beaten up by the Grand Protector in the Wulenhate Mountains, the people who came this time couldn't be sky class like the Grand Protector. They were probably at the same level as Old Six, or even higher. In this way, even if Lin Yi could use skills that were beyond his level, he wouldn't be able to do anything to them. The 7th form of the Frenzy 8 Trigram Palm was only equivalent to the 12th form of the Frenzy Fist, the 13th form of a normal skill. It was useless against a Sky class late phase peak. Chapter 2598. Old Lin was domineering. Moreover, what worried Lin Yi the most was that the Raging Fire 8 Trigram Palm originated from Taganlong's 5 Elements 8 Trigram Palm. Others might not recognize it, but how could they not recognize it when they were from Taganlong's sect? Although Lin Yi had changed it beyond recognition, the person receiving the attack should be able to feel it. If they knew that Lin Yi had imitated the 5 Elements 8 Trigram Palm, would it attract unnecessary trouble? What should he do? He definitely couldn't win in a fight, and he wouldn't be able to win even if he risked his life. For a moment, Lin Yi's heart was in a mess and he felt helpless. All this time, other than the time when he became a cripple, Lin Yi's journey had been more daunting than dangerous. No matter how dangerous it was, he would grit his teeth and endure it. He had never felt this kind of fear before, but this time Lin Yi really felt that he wasn't capable enough. At this time, Lin Yi was even a little envious of Zhong Pingliang. He wasn't very strong, but he caused trouble everywhere, and no one dared to do anything to him. There was no other reason than that he had a powerful master. If he provoked someone he couldn't afford to provoke, he would fight with his master. Seeing that he was the disciple of the everyday and everyday sect leader, Pure Yang Sky Lord, they could only let him go. Lin Yi, on the other hand, only relied on himself. If there was a background, it was just a fake one that he created to make his enemies think that there was a master behind him, and they wouldn't dare to act rashly. The rest was all fought for by himself. But now he couldn't. The other party might not care about the fake background he created, and if he fought them head-on, the one who would die in the end would definitely be Lin Yi. There were no ifs, only certainties, and if he couldn't win, he could only run. Although Lin Yi had 2 traps, according to Sun Jingyi, there were 2 masters this time, 1 male and 1 female. Lin Yi could use the trap to temporarily trap them. But what use would that be? If he trapped them, where would he run to? Since they could find their way to Donghai City, couldn't they go somewhere else? Lin Yi couldn't keep hiding, could he? In fact, when Lin Yi found out that the enemy was Tagan Dragon's gang, Lin Yi knew that things were going to be troublesome. It was already out of his control. If he could fight with his master at this time, wouldn't that be a good thing? Feeling helpless, Lin Yi could only call Old Man Lin. Under normal circumstances, Lin Yi would not look for Old Man Lin unless there was something he could not solve. Lily, what's up? If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. I'm about to go treat a patient. Old Lin's impatient voice came from the other side of the phone. Old man, I'm in trouble. Lin Yi took a deep breath, not bothering to hide it from Xinyan. Oh. What kind of trouble have you gotten yourself into? Old Man Lin was slightly startled. Lin Yi rarely spoke to him in such a helpless tone, so Old Man Lin's tone became serious. I messed with 2 masters that I can't afford to mess with. Lin Yi smiled bitterly and briefly explained the situation to Old Man Lin, emphasizing that he was no match for them at all. Haha, I thought it was something serious. Old Man Lin laughed, very relaxed. What are you laughing at? I say, old man, is it funny? Can you solve it? Lin Yi was a little annoyed, but he still asked with some anticipation. Fighting with one's master is a trend now. I don't have a master to fight with. Actually, you can fight with it. It's just that. Let's not talk about this. I can't solve it with you in Donghai. But I have another way, Old Man Lin said. What way? Lin Yi quickly asked, not paying much attention to what Old Man Lin said before. After all, his master had been missing for more than 10 years. How could he fight with it? Run, of course. Take Han Jingjing and your group of wives back to West Star Mountain Village, Old Man Lin said. What do you mean? Back to West Star Mountain Village? What if they chased to West Star Mountain Village? Lin Yi was stunned, thinking to himself, what kind of move is this? Why is it exactly the same as the last time when I became a cripple? However, the situation this time was slightly different from the last time. Last time, Lin Yi only faced ordinary aristocratic families, and after Lin Yi left, they might not go looking for him again. However, the enemies this time were different. They were at least at the ancient level. From the looks of it, it was very likely that they would find West Star Mountain Village again. After all, the fact that Lin Yi's hometown was West Star Mountain Village was not too big of a secret. If they come, then so be it. Old Man Lin said indifferently, if they come, then they can't leave. Can't leave. Lin, he was slightly stunned. Although you can't fight with your master for now, but if something happens to you when you return to your hometown, even if the sky falls, this old man can still support it. Old Man Lin's voice was not loud, but it had an unquestionable domineering tone. No matter who comes looking for trouble with you, I will not let them leave. Lin Yi did not dare to believe that these words were said by Old Man Lin. However, Lin Yi suddenly remembered Old Man Lin's monstrous strength. No matter how strong he was, Old Man Lin was stronger than him. No matter how he hit him, he was fine. Could it be Old Man Lin's strength has already? Thinking of this, Lin Yi could not help but be a little excited. Old man, you can't be the legendary Heaven Path Master, right? Heaven Path? Maybe. But I am a physical master. I don't know if I count as Heaven Path, but there should be Heaven Stage, right? Old Man Lin replied indifferently, but in his heart he was secretly a little amused. Heaven Path Master. So there was nothing more than this, but these words he did not want Lin Yi to know too early. If it was not for the fact that Lin Yi now had such strength and caused such a huge trouble, Old Man Lin would not even say these words. With a too strong backing, Lin Yi would not think of improving, and when something happened he would only think of running back home. That was not beneficial to Lin Yi's growth and development. But the current Lin Yi already had his own goals. No matter whether he had a strong backing or not, he would continue to fight and would not slack off. So this was also the reason why Old Man Lin said these words. See, Lin Yi took in a cold breath. Before, he thought that Old Man Lin was strong, much stronger than him, but at that time, Lin Yi was just a golden class master. When Lin Yi truly came into contact with the people of the cultivation world, the noble house level, the hidden level, the ancient level, along the way, Lin Yi came into contact with many stronger people. From what Lin Yi saw now, Old Man Lin's strength was probably around the same level as Jin Wudi, and his attack power was probably on par with Old Pai, because his attack power was not as strong as Er Gooden's. Chapter 2599. Were you stalling? This was the difference between Old Lin and Er Gooden. Old Lin's attack power was weaker than Er Gooden's, but it was already extremely strong. The most important thing was that he wasn't afraid of beating. If any master came, he'd be the one to beat them up. No one would be able to kill him. At this moment, Lin Yi finally let out a breath of relief. No wonder Old Lin always told him to bring people back home to hide. It was because he had nothing to fear. I understand. Lin Yi took a deep breath and quickly hung up, coming up with a perfect solution. From his point of view, he'd go to the hotel first, find a chance to save Han Jingjing, and use the net to trap the two enemies. They'd be close to each other, and that way, he'd only need to waste one net. After that, he'd bring her Sun Jingyi, Xinyan, the Miss, and Shu to run, and call everyone related to him to gather at Star West Village. Once everyone was there, he'd let the news out, and the two enemies would go to Star West Village, and they'd never be able to return, so it felt so good to have someone protecting him. This was the first time Lin Yi felt this way. So evil, I'm going to treat someone. Old Lin hung up the phone slowly, and then muttered in a barely audible voice, "Back then my brother and I seem to have missed something? What kind of sect is this? Where did they come from?" Just when Lin Yi was full of confidence, ready to save Han Jingjing, he realized that he'd underestimated little Yi. What Lin Yi didn't expect was that when he met up with Sun Jingyi at the school gate, the Jade sent out a strong warning signal. Normally, the Jade would only send out a warning when there was danger that Lin Yi couldn't see, and when there was real danger, Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat, and he grabbed Sun Jingyi and dashed backwards. As expected, a sharp wind swept past, and Lin Yi almost didn't dodge it. Feeling lucky, Lin Yi raised his head and looked at the black-robed man who had appeared out of nowhere. His heart trembled slightly. The person in front of him was probably Lin Yi's enemy, someone from Taganlong's sect. This person should have followed Sun Jingyi here. It seemed that the other party wanted to kill him together, so he let Sun Jingyi go. Lin Yi frowned slightly. Was he destined to waste two inescapable nets? This was Lin Yi's last life-saving treasure. If he wasted it, it would be difficult to solve if he encountered trouble on the way to escape. Thinking of this, Lin Yi decided to try his luck. He secretly began to compress the true Qi bomb. Lin Yi decided to use inescapable net only if it was not possible. If possible, he would not use it for the time being. "Who are you? Why did you attack us for no reason?" Lin Yi pretended to be inexplicable and looked at little Yi in shock and anger. He had to stall for time to complete the compression of the true Qi bomb. If he had known that little Yi was waiting for him at the school gate, Lin Yi would have started compressing it a long time ago. However, he had wanted to go to the hotel with Sun Jingyi to save people. He didn't expect little Yi to follow him. "Lin Yi, right? I don't believe that you don't know who I am. Are you doing this to stall for time and wait for someone to save you?" Little Yi said sarcastically after hearing Lin Yi's words. However, he revealed his strength at the peak of the late stage of Heaven Stage, which made Lin Yi give up. "I don't believe that anyone can save you, so you don't have to stall for time. If your reinforcements come, they will only be courting death." Although Lin Yi had already seen little Yi's strength, when his true Qi pressure was released, Lin Yi still felt a suffocating feeling. Too strong, really too strong. He was much stronger than the Heaven Stage weirdo, who was also at the peak of the late stage of Heaven Stage. They were not on the same level at all. It seemed that the people who came out of Taganlong's sect were all monsters. He was really too strong to an unimaginable extent. "Humph." Lin Yi snorted coldly. "Whatever you say. I just came here. How could I know who you are?" Jingyi didn't say anything. "She only said that you kidnapped Han Jingjing." "You know Han Jingjing?" Little Yi frowned after hearing Lin Yi's words and thought to himself, "Not good." He'd neglected the fact that Sun Jingyi knew Han Jingjing and that she'd told Lin Yi about it. If Lin Yi had been a little faster and told Boss Bai about it, things would have gotten a little troublesome. Therefore, he had to end the battle quickly. Thinking of this, little Yi did not give Lin Yi a chance to speak again. Instead, he suddenly crossed his hands in front of his chest and then made a very strange gesture. Finally, he put his hands together and pushed them out. A huge, tornado-like, true Qi vortex was pushed out from little Yi's hands and suddenly swept towards Lin Yi. Heaven Stage martial skill. Twisting heaven and earth 11th form. Little Yi suddenly shouted along with the twisting vortex. In his opinion, Lin Yi was an earth stage expert. the most ordinary heaven stage martial skill, could kill him. Go to hell, Earth Stage Junior. An unprecedented pressure hit him in the face. Lin Yi frowned slightly and subconsciously pushed Sun Jingyi away. But it was too late for him to dodge. His whole body was directly swept up by the twisting vortex and flew into the sky. Then he fell heavily to the ground, making a loud sound and smashing a meter-deep pit on the ground. It was just the 11th form of Heaven Stage martial skill, the most basic Heaven Stage martial skill, but it had such great power. The people from this place were really abnormal, but fortunately it was only the 11th form. Lin Yi used true qi to protect his body and could barely withstand it. Although he also suffered some internal injuries, they were not very serious. Lin Yi also did not care about repairing the internal injuries in his body. Instead, he quickly compressed the true qi bomb. This was Lin Yi's last trick. If it really did not work, he would use the inescapable net. If possible, it would be best if he could blow up the person in front of him. Jingyi, take Xinyan and leave this place first. First, Lin Yi was afraid that little Yi would hurt them. Second, he was afraid that when the true qi bomb exploded, they would be injured. Only Lin Yi himself, so he didn't need to worry too much. Oh, okay. Sun Jingyi made a prompt decision. The two of them had formed a very good tacit understanding back in the Wulonghout Mountains. Sun Jingyi knew that Lin Yi was probably ready to use a big move. She and Wang Xinyan would only be a distraction for Lin Yi, so she took Wang Xinyan's hand and prepared to leave. Chapter 2600. The opponent was too powerful. Sun Jingyi was one of the culprits who had injured Tag Onlong, so Little Yi had no reason to let her go. Little Yi waved his hand, and a small tornado of vital energy whirlpool attacked Sun Jingyi and Wang Xinyan. Earth grade martial technique, first form. Lin Yi was shocked. He didn't expect Little Yi to kill people as soon as he said he would. He couldn't care less about stalling for time in the pit. He hurriedly jumped out and quickly blocked in front of Sun Jingyi and Wang Xinyan. Fortunately, Little Yi had only used the first form of the Earth grade martial technique. In his opinion, this move was more than enough to kill Sun Jingyi and Wang Xinyan. Sun Jingyi and Wang Xinyan weren't cultivators. The two of them didn't have true energy to protect their bodies. Using the first form of the martial technique was like using a cannon to kill a mosquito. It was a bit of a waste of true energy. Sun Jingyi's cultivation method was very special. She didn't have any strength level, so Little Yi naturally wouldn't treat her as a cultivator. Wang Xinyan was just an innocent bystander. Little Yi didn't know her at all, but he didn't mind killing her together. Boom! Lin Yi took Little Yi's move head-on again. This move didn't cause any damage to Lin Yi. It only caused Lin Yi's injured area to shake a little. However, Lin Yi was also very surprised. This was clearly the first form of the Earth grade martial technique, but it was equivalent to the third form of the Earth grade martial technique. It was even more powerful than the Wildfire Fist. It seemed like Tag Onlong wasn't the only heaven-defying existence in that place. However, what puzzled Lin Yi was why he didn't cultivate Tag Onlong's 5 elements 8 trigrams palm. If it was the 5 elements 8 trigrams palm, Lin Yi could secretly learn it again. The last time he learned it wasn't too successful. Lin Yi could only activate a martial technique that increased the power of the Wildfire Fist by 5 forms. If he mastered it, could he activate a martial technique that increased the power of 10 forms? Just thinking about it, the 7th style of the Wildfire 8 trigrams palm was equivalent to the 18th style of an ordinary heaven ranked martial technique. Even a late-stage heaven ranked expert would find it hard to take such a blow. They would most likely be beaten half to death. However, Lin Yi was just thinking about it. He reckoned that the 5 elements 8 trigrams palms could only be used by people with a true 5 elemental constitution. Tag-on-long was probably one of them, but Little 1, Little 6, and Little 12 weren't. Their martial techniques were all of their own and not the 5 elements 8 trigrams palms. While Lin Yi was distracted, Sun Jingyi pulled Xinyan away. Little Yi could easily catch up to them, but his main target was Lin Yi. As far as he was concerned, the one who injured Tag-on-long was Lin Yi, and Sun Jingyi was at most an accomplice. It was more important to take care of Lin Yi first. Otherwise, what if Lin Yi took the chance to run away while he was chasing after Sun Jingyi? It was lunch break, and there weren't many students at the university entrance. Most of them were eating in the cafeteria or resting in their dorms, but there were some rich students who went out to eat. To avoid attracting attention, Little One wanted to take care of Lin Yi as quickly as possible. "You're quite affectionate, aren't you? You're about to die, and you still know to let those 2 girls go first." Little Yi looked at him coldly. "Your ability to take hits has exceeded my expectations. An Earth class mid-phase peak actually being able to take on my 11th style of the Sky class? That's quite rare, isn't it? No wonder you could beat Tag-on-long." "Haha, it doesn't matter how strong you are. I wouldn't be able to take the 12th or 13th style if you wanted me to, but I barely managed to take the 11th style." Lin Yi started to trick Little One. "But then again, which sect are you from? You should at least let me know before I die, right?" "Of course, I can't tell you which sect I'm from," Little One said calmly. "Some things are better left unknown. Twisting heaven and earth. 12th style. Go to hell." The power equivalent to the 14th style of a normal martial art rushed towards Lin Yi. This was a power that could even kill a peak early phase Sky class master. Lin Yi didn't dare to take it head-on. He could only pause the compression of the True Qi bomb and use True Qi to protect his entire body. Lin Yi had already been injured before. Although it wasn't particularly serious, he would definitely vomit blood if he was hit again, and it would be a move even stronger than before. Fortunately, Lin Yi was prepared and had True Qi to protect his body. Otherwise, if he was ambushed, he would definitely die. Boom! Lin Yi was once again swept into the sky by the huge tornado and then fell heavily to the ground. This time, the fall was even worse than before. Lin Yi directly fell 2 meters into the ground, spitting out a mouthful of blood and lying motionless in the pit. "So King powerful," Lin Yi cursed in his heart. "Luckily, I was mentally prepared. Otherwise, even if I didn't die, I would have fainted." Lin Yi could only quickly circulate the 2nd level of the Art of Dragon Mastery to repair his internal injuries. He kept the True Qi bomb at the side, careful not to let it explode. At this moment, time was of the essence. He had to delay as much as he could. "Brat, don't play dead. Can you stand up?" Little One's voice sounded again, causing Lin Yi to be shocked. He didn't expect that Little One was not stupid. He had already noticed that Lin Yi was not dead. This made it impossible for Lin Yi to continue pretending. He could only slowly climb out of the pit unwillingly. He stood up shakily. The 12th style of the Heaven class is indeed powerful. "It almost killed me." Little One frowned. Looking at Lin Yi's complexion, there were no signs of him dying. He had already activated the 12th style of the Heaven class. In theory, it was equivalent to the 14th style of the Heaven class. Why wasn't Lin Yi dead yet? Why was this guy's ability to take hits so strong? Was he an Earth class mid-peak expert? Even a Heaven class early peak expert wouldn't feel good, right? You were hiding your strength. After thinking for a long time, Little One really couldn't figure out why Lin Yi was so powerful. Why was the 12th style of the Heaven class not killing him? It seemed like this was the only explanation. Hiding your strength and taking the initiative to take hits without fighting back. Have you ever seen such a stupid person? Lin Yi asked. That's true. Little One nodded. He was a little curious about Lin Yi. If it wasn't for his master's orders, he would have captured Lin Yi and studied him carefully. But Lin Yi was Boss Bai's student. Now that he had captured Han Jingjing, if he captured Lin Yi as well, it would probably attract Boss Bai's retaliation. At that time, it would be troublesome. Chapter 2601. Extremely lucky he had thought that the 11th and 12th forms would be enough to take care of Lin Yi, but they didn't, so he was angry this time. Although activating his strongest technique would weaken him a lot, and he would be in danger if another expert came at this time, only a peak late-stage heaven-class expert could hurt him, so he didn't care. He clasped his hands together and separated them, preparing to activate his strongest technique, heaven-class technique, Tornado World, 20th form, go to hell. F*CK. Lin Yi looked at the earth-shattering vortex of true qi sweeping towards him, and immediately paled. Why didn't this guy play according to the rules? He had actually activated his strongest martial skill, the 20th form of the Heaven tier. This was equivalent to Heaven class. Oh, it should be Heaven class, 22nd form. No matter how arrogant Lin Yi was, he didn't dare to be careless. Since he was going to be injured anyway, he might as well go all out. Lin Yi's true qi bomb was almost fully compressed, but Lin Yi didn't have a suitable opportunity to release it, because this true qi bomb was a move that killed 1,000 enemies and 800 of himself. After releasing it, Lin Yi definitely wouldn't have it easy. If Little One was able to resist this true qi bomb, and Lin Yi was injured by it instead, the only result would be death. But now, since the opponent had already activated his strongest technique, Lin Yi's fate of being heavily injured was already decided. Then Lin Yi might as well not look for an opportunity, and directly throw the true qi bomb. No matter what, he would be injured, and now he had no choice but to go all out. Thinking of this, Lin Yi took advantage of the fact that the tornado hadn't swept him up to directly push out his hands, and shouted, "True qi bomb, explode!" Boom! The pure, true qi bomb hit Little One, and exploded between Lin Yi and Little One. The huge explosive energy pushed Little One and Lin Yi back at the same time. However, this was a blessing in disguise for Lin Yi. The damage to Lin Yi from the 20th form of Tornado Heaven and Earth was reduced to the minimum because the explosion of the true qi bomb directly blew Lin Yi out of the attack range of Tornado Heaven and Earth. In this way, Tornado Heaven and Earth only injured Lin Yi, and the rest of its power did not affect Lin Yi. Originally, Lin Yi would not have been able to dodge the strongest martial technique, but due to a freak combination of factors, Lin Yi was able to dodge it because of the explosion of the true qi bomb. But even so, Lin Yi was not in a good state. The power of the explosion of the true qi bomb had all acted on Lin Yi's body, and Lin Yi could not use true qi to protect his body at the same time he released the true qi bomb. Therefore, Lin Yi was directly blown to pieces and fell heavily on the ground, dozens of meters away. But even so, Lin Yi still secretly thought that he was lucky. If he had been hit by this blow from Little Yi, he would have died without a doubt. This power was more than double that of the true qi bomb. It was simply powerful to a certain level. Fortunately, Lin Yi made a prompt decision. Otherwise, even if he had the art of dragon mastery, it would have been useless. He would have been killed directly and would not even have had a chance to hang on to his last breath. Boom, boom, boom. The destructive power caused by the collision of the true qi tornado and the true qi bomb continued, and the sound of the explosion rose and fell. The space between Lin Yi and Little Yi was filled with flying sand and stones, and the ground at the school gate was almost lifted up. Fortunately, there were no students passing by at the moment. Otherwise, they would have been accidentally injured by the flying sand and stones. Lin Yi vomited several mouthfuls of blood in a row. He felt his life slipping away bit by bit, although there was still a small wisp of true qi in his body holding on. So he did not immediately faint. Lin Yi knew that he was about to be forced into the space of the jade pendant. If the injury was even a little more serious, he would directly faint. However, Lin Yi also knew that although he had barely dodged this blow, if little E attacked again, then he would definitely not be so lucky. This was completely a freak accident. He was blown away by the true chi bomb. But next time, where could Lin Yi find a true chi bomb? Taking advantage of the flying sand and stones flying all over the sky, Lin Yi did not dare to waste time. He quickly circulated the second level of the art of dragon mastery to heal the injuries in his body. He had to heal his injuries as soon as possible. That way, he would have enough agility to dodge little Yi's next attack. Only then would he be able to successfully cast the net of heaven and earth and trap little E. Lin Yi had no other choice. He could only use his final move, the net of heaven and earth. Although Lin Yi really did not want to use it, other than that, Lin Yi had no confidence in beating little E at all. Little E was simply too strong, to an unimaginable level. When Lin Yi and Zhao Qikuan first met the Sky-class monster in the cave, although the monster was also a Sky-class late-phase peak, he was definitely not as strong as little E. And so, Lin Yi did not need to look at Lin Yi at all. His intuition told him that his true chi bomb should not have killed little E, not even heavily injured him. In actuality, Lin Yi's intuition was right. Little E was also sent flying by the powerful force of the true chi bomb. The violent shock made him spit out a mouthful of blood, but it was only a slight external injury. There were no internal injuries at all. Even so, little Yi's face showed an expression of shock. He muttered in disbelief. How is this possible? A mere Earth class, mid-phase, peak could actually make me spit out blood? How is this possible? Could it be that he knew he was going to die, so he self-destructed at the last moment? Self-destruction was an ultimate move that a practitioner would use when forced to fight to the death with the enemy. This secret technique was not difficult to learn, and there was a specific chant for it. Many practitioners knew it, so it was not a secret. That was why little E thought that Lin Yi had used this move. But he could not see what was happening on Lin Yi's side. The power of Lin Yi's self-destruction and the 20th Heaven class skill, Tornado, had combined to create a sandstorm in front of little E. It was impossible for him to see Lin Yi's situation clearly. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was taking advantage of this time to recover from the injuries caused by the true chi bomb and tornado. Sun Jingyi and Wang Xinyan ran into the school, panting heavily. Not long after, they heard a loud explosion, followed by a series of explosions. Turning their heads, they saw a sandstorm in front of the school gate. This gave Sun Jingyi and Xinyan a fright. What was wrong with Lin Yi? Was he all right? As worried as they were, they did not dare go over to see what was going on. They were at a loss when Xinyan's phone rang. Chapter 2602. Chapter 2612. Vicious little sister. She hesitated, but still picked it up. Xinyan was a good student, and it was natural for her to report to the school when she ran into trouble. Mr. Bai? Xinyan, how's Lin Yi? Did anything happen? After Lin Yi left, the white boss felt uneasy, as if something wasn't right. He waited for a while, but Lin Yi didn't contact him, so he contacted Xinyan. After all, Lin Yi went to look for Xinyan. Mr. Bai, Lin Yi's fighting with someone right in front of the school. That bad guy is using a very powerful martial art. I think it's called Twister World or something. It's like a tornado. Xinyan said worriedly, What should we do? Lin Yi doesn't seem to be a match for him, and he fell to the ground. What? Twister World? The white boss stood up abruptly, his eyes narrowed and his gaze sharpened. Could it be them? Causing trouble in front of his school, kidnapping his students, and even injuring Lin Yi. Did they think he didn't exist? Yes, I think so. Xinyan nodded, not understanding why the boss would ask this. She wanted to know how to help Lin Yi. Out of all the people she knew, Lin Yi was the strongest. If even Lin Yi wasn't a match, then it didn't matter if it was House Pai, House Han, or even Wu Qintian. I'll be there right away. The white boss voice turned cold and angry. Don't worry, I have a plan. All right, thank you, Mr. Bai. Sinyan said, relieved to hear that Boss Bai had a solution. What are you thanking me for? You're all my students, of course, I'll help you. The white boss ran out of the office. One had to say he was quite fast despite his age. At the same time, in the hotel, 11 was interrogating Han Jingjing about Zhang Liju's notes. Han Jingjing was brought to the hotel room. Suddenly, a basin of cold water was poured over her. Han Jingjing woke up abruptly and looked at the unfamiliar scene in front of her. Where is this? Han Jingjing looked at the hotel room curiously. She only remembered that she was going to the cafeteria with Wang Xinyan, but she didn't remember anything else. Han Jingjing, right? A cold and somewhat hoarse female voice rang out, revealing a bone-piercing chill. Haven't you noticed that you've been kidnapped? Kidnapping? Who are you? Why did you kidnap Jingjing? Han Jingjing turned around and looked innocently at the woman in black, who was the 11th, with her large, watery eyes. All right, stop acting cute. This trick doesn't work on me. Little 11 frowned and thought to himself that it was a good thing he didn't let little E interrogate her. This girl sure knew how to disguise herself. Even after being caught, she was still acting cute. You're an alchemist, right? What is an alchemist? Is it delicious? Han Jingjing asked curiously. Little E, don't act cute in front of me. I don't fall for it. Little 11 interrupted Han Jingjing coldly. If you don't want to suffer, then tell me the truth. But I really don't know what an alchemist is, Han Jingjing said innocently. Little Jian, are you looking for a beating? Little 11 raised his hand. I'll give you one last chance. If you talk nonsense with me again, I'll kill you. Oh, if someone who knows how to refine pills is an alchemist, then I am one. Han Jingjing blinked her eyes and said, Humph, you refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. Little 11 snorted and continued to ask, Who did you learn alchemy from? My alchemy? I learned it from Right Coiling Tiger. Han Jingjing thought about it and said, My cauldron and what not were all given to me by him. Slap! Slap! 2 crisp sounds rang out. Little 11 finally lost his patience and slapped Han Jingjing's face twice. Immediately, Han Jingjing's left and right cheeks turned red. Little 11 was an expert at the peak of the early phase of heaven rank. How could Han Jingjing withstand 2 slaps from him? Ah, it hurts. Han Jingjing looked at little 11 with a wronged expression. Her big watery eyes were about to shed tears. Why did you hit Jingjing? Hit you? If you don't be honest, I'll kill you. Little 11's face was ferocious. A cruel expression flashed across his face. I'm not afraid to tell you that I'm best at messing with people. If I transmigrate, I'll be the head of the Imperial Secret Service. What's the Imperial Secret Service? Han Jingjing asked doubtfully. Little Jian, I know you want to stall for time and wait for someone to save you. But I'm not afraid to tell you that there's really no one who can save you. Little 11 said calmly. Since you don't want to tell me, then I'll play with you a little more ruthlessly. Little 11's hand shook slightly and a box of silver needles fell into her hand. She nimbly took out a silver needle from the box and stabbed it into Han Jingjing's shoulder blade. Ah! Han Jingjing screamed. I'll tell you, what do you want to know? Humph, look at your delicate little face. You're really popular with men. But what I hate the most are girls who are prettier than me. Little 11 said coldly, especially for pretty girls like you who know how to act cute. I like to poke at your face until your skin is broken. Now it's your shoulder blade. Next time, it'll be your face. I'll ask you again. Who did you learn alchemy from? I'll tell you the truth. It was Teacher Bai who gave me an introductory note on alchemy, so I followed it and learned it right away. Han Jingjing grimaced in pain and said, Can you remove the silver needles? Jing Jing is in so much pain. Remove? Sure. Little 11's mouth flashed a trace of viciousness. She stuck her hand on the end of the silver needles and directly imbued innate qi into the silver needles, only to hear a ka-ba sound. Han Jingjing's right shoulder blade was directly crushed by the true qi. Ah! Han Jingjing screamed in pain. Beads of sweat flowed down her forehead. You're a heaven stage master. You can actually imbue innate qi into a weapon. That's right. You still have some eyes. I'm indeed a heaven stage master. This silver needle is my heaven stage weapon. Little 11 said lightly, my heaven-grade godly weapon is called the 9 Fushi needles. Although the 9 Fushi needles in my hand is a replica of a godly weapon, but when combined with a martial art chant, even a tiny needle can take your life. Chapter 2603. Girl, don't change the topic. I'll ask you one last time. Who did you learn your refinement from? 11 almost got sidetracked by Han Jingjing. I told you it's Tiger, right? Han Jingjing said, it seems that if I don't teach you a lesson, you won't know what I'm capable of. 11's needle shot out again, and this time it pierced into Han Jingjing's abdomen. 11 then looked at Han Jingjing playfully. I don't want to bullshit with you. Do you have Zhang Liju's notes? Give me a copy and I won't kill you. But if you keep going around in circles, I'll just shake my hand and I'll make sure you can't be a woman anymore. Han Jingjing was a little scared now, and a flash of fear flashed in her eyes. 11's needle was right at a girl's reproductive part. If it exploded like before, Han Jingjing would really be like she said. She wouldn't be able to be a woman anymore. If I tell you, will you let me go? However, Han Jingjing was a very calm and intelligent person. She could tell from little 11's expression and tone that she had no intention of letting him go. I'm afraid you'll kill me if I tell you, right? That's not for sure. Maybe I'll be in a good mood? Then I'll let you go. 11 said faintly. Besides, being tortured to death and dying a quick death are 2 completely different ways to die. I'm not afraid to tell you that I already know a lot of things, and I know that you know how to concoct elixirs, and that your success rate is very high. You can make a lot of high-quality second-level elixirs in a short period of time. You don't have to hide it from me. If I didn't know all this, I wouldn't be asking you. So even if you want to lie to me, there's no way. I'm a refiner, and I can tell if you're lying or not. All right, I'll tell you. Actually, Professor Bai gave me a copy of his master's notes, and I learned according to it. Han Jingjing sighed. You're messing with me? Little 11's expression hardened, and the hand holding the end of the silver needle moved slightly. Han Jingjing screamed again, and a mouthful of blood sprayed directly onto little 11's face. Ah! Han Jingjing's eyes flashed with pain and hopelessness. But she promised Lin Yi that she wouldn't tell anyone about Zhang Liju's notes. Plus, even if he did, so what if it was Zhang Liju's notes? According to the alchemy method, although it could improve the quality of the elixir, it couldn't improve the speed and success rate of alchemy. Even if he cultivated according to it, it was absolutely impossible to refine so many elixir with excellent quality in a short period of time. Since little 11 was an alchemist, even if he told her, she would be able to tell that it was impossible to achieve this effect by concocting the elixir according to the method. If she continued to press him, she would definitely expose Lin Yi's secret. Lin Yi could help her recover her strength and qi, and he could also help her concoct elixirs together. But if she told Lin Yi about these things, it would only harm him. At this moment, Han Jingjing didn't know that Lin Yi was also little 11's target, and so in order to protect Lin Yi, she had to grit her teeth and hold on. Stupid bitch, you dare to spit on me? Little 11 flew up and kicked Han Jingjing's chest, sending her flying towards the wall. Ah, dash! Han Jingjing screamed once more. She felt as if her chest was being kicked, and tears almost came out of her eyes. She laid on the ground and didn't even have the strength to get up. Although she was also an earth-class practitioner, it was mainly used for alchemy. She couldn't heal herself, and she couldn't use chi to protect her body. But then again, in front of a sky-class early-phase peak like Little 11, the chi protection of an earth-class didn't have much use. Are you going to tell me? Tell me Zhang Liju's notes, and I'll give you a quick death, or I'll torture you to death. Little 11 was really a little anxious. This Han Jingjing was so stubborn. She stepped on Han Jingjing's finger, and with a forceful stomp on the ground, Han Jingjing's finger was crushed into a bloody mess. I'll let you refine pills. I'll cripple your hand. The fingers were connected to the heart, and Han Jingjing's body suddenly trembled, and she spat out another mouthful of black blood. Are you going to tell me? Are you going to tell me or not? Seeing that Han Jingjing did not speak, Little 11 stomped on Han Jingjing's other hand and did the same thing, crushing Han Jingjing's fingers into a bloody mess. I'll tell you. Mr. Bai is Zhang Liju's disciple. His notes are Zhang Liju's notes, alchemist's notes. Han Jingjing stuttered weakly. You're asking for it. Little 11 was furious. She didn't think that after torturing Han Jingjing like this, she still wouldn't tell her. She was so angry that she kicked Han Jingjing's crotch. Since you're not going to tell me, I'll kill you and go to your place to look for it. I don't believe that you didn't memorize it. Oh. Han Jingjing couldn't feel the pain anymore. She felt that her eyelids were heavy and her consciousness was getting blurry. Lin Ebro, Jingjing is going to die. I'm sorry. Jingjing can't concoct pills for you anymore. This woman is so hateful. Not only did she cripple Jingjing's hands, she can't let Jingjing concoct pills anymore. And she can't let Jingjing be Lin Ebro's girlfriend. Han Jingjing was in a daze, and she thought about Lin Yi and the happy time she had in Donghai City these few months. However, it was all like an illusion, and she finally stopped at Little 11's hideous face. You can't find it. Jingjing is very smart. She memorized it all. Han Jingjing felt like she was dying, and her words suddenly became sharp. But Jingjing won't give it to you. Jingjing is going to die soon. Jingjing will wait for you, and after a few years, you can come and accompany Jingjing. Han Jingjing believed that, in the short term, perhaps Lin Yi wouldn't be able to avenge her, but when Lin Yi advanced to Sky Class, he would be able to kill this evil woman easily. Little bitch, what did you say? Little 11 heard Han Jingjing say that she would wait for her, and he was furious. He was about to kick her again, but he saw that Han Jingjing was already on the verge of death, and her chi was rapidly flowing out of her body. This was the sign of a practitioner dying, and Little 11 frowned. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.